Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to another Comic Art Live special show. As you know, we like doing chats with collectors and artists, and tonight we get an artist and collector in Nick Pitarra. So thank you for tuning in early. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late tonight, but we were BSing in the green room before things got started here. So welcome to the show, everybody. Michael Callahan, Jeff Wedding, Ron Lim, and we had a really good turnout last night, and another great turnout to the show tonight. So I don't want to leave Nick in the green room any longer than he needs to be. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, so let me bring Nick into the chat here, and let's welcome him to the show. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Good, Bill. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. You've been in the chat often enough, and from our shows on Comic Art Live channel. So it's about time that you got in front of the camera and we talked to you directly.
Yeah, well, I always keep my YouTube on while I'm drawing, and whenever you started doing your shows, a while ago now, I would just browse, and then I started getting a little more playful, and I would, get in there sometimes, but I leave it on. The only problem is that around this time is when my girls go down, and so it's like I gotta like go in and out, so I keep it on so people don't think I'm leaving, or I don't know what you guys see on your end, like you see me popping in and out, so I keep it on, but I don't get to watch the whole show, but I'll go back and watch the show later. So now I started chatting. I don't know how to at people and stuff, and when I get at people, I'm like, I got to type their name out. It's weird, but I really like the show, and as a collector, man, I appreciate everything you've done for the art collecting community. It's awesome. I've been a member for almost 20 years. Not paid member though. I gotta pay, but I will soon. And but I'm sure we've all made a lot of deals and sold a lot of stuff when we needed money or whatever, based on your hard work, man. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, hey, it's my pleasure. That's what CAF is for. Now, hey, everybody is noticing a crackling in your audio. I hate to tell you that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it's saying it's popping. It wasn't earlier when we were in the green room, but it's definitely popping a lot now. I know it's using that mic that's
let me pop in and out. I can get this off my headset off, and we can just go through my iPad. Do you think that would be better or worse? What do you think?
It can't be worse with the crackling. I can tell you that.
All right, let me try it.
Okay. We'll get this fixed, everybody. Yeah, I spy the Frazetta, Conan the Adventurer in the background as well.
All right, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Well, it's still got a little crackling, but yeah, I don't know why. That's odd. Maybe it's something to do with the iPad then, not just the earbuds. So, but we'll work with it. We'll work with it.
I don't want people to hear popping the whole time. That's terrible. I feel bad.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
you want me to leave and come back and see if it works?
Yeah. Why don't you? I'll tell you what. Why don't you leave the studio? There's a link at the bottom to leave the studio, and then come back in. I'll bring you back in, and maybe that'll fix it.
All right, I'm going to sign out and sign back in. Give me a couple minutes. Sorry about this.
Hey, not a problem, Nick. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing good tonight. It's been man, I'm telling you, there's just not enough hours in the day sometimes. But hey, thank you, Ron. I did see. Let me see. Where was that? Where were we here? Ron Lim, thank you for the extra birthday super chat there. And where was the other one? There was somebody else. Oh, I have to thank Southern Comic Geek for becoming a new member of the channel as well. I saw that when I popped in here, and that happened sometime during the day, but as a message, it comes in to the chat here. So, all right, Nick's back in. Let's see how we go. All right, how do you sound now, Nick?
I'm half scared to talk. I won't talk so loud, I guess. Is that better or no?
No, it's fine. Actually, right now, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
All right, good. Thanks, man.
So, and I didn't tell you before the show started, but in the right-hand column, there's a tab for private chat or a tab for comments. So if you want to highlight the comments one, that's how you'll see any of the chats that are going on within the show.
Okay, I see a bar there. Nothing's in there right now. So, should I see a stream there or no?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll highlight anything that pops up if you don't see it.
Okay.
All right. Everybody says much better now.
All right. Cool.
All right, cool. So yeah, like you were saying, you've been a member of the site for a long time. I think you joined, I forget what the note was, but around December 2005. So you've been a member, I don't know. I mean, I guess just over 16 years. So what were you doing on CAF 16 years ago? Because your professional career hadn't even started at that point.
Yeah. So what I was doing on the site is I would browse a little bit, and I had a small art collection at the time. But the funny story that I wanted to tell you beforehand was my first message from you is you kind of grilled me. What I would do is I would post my sample pages on CAF, and then I would link the sample pages on digital webbing or pencil jack or whatever, because it was really hard to like upload things at the time. And then I got a message from you saying like, it was something like this, like you're refreshing your art all the time to get a lot of hits or something like that. And I guess I was on the front of the page. And so, and I was like, I'm not, but I am hosting it. And then you were like, oh, okay, cool. So my first interaction with you was, you dad moved me and said, stop it, kid. So, yeah.
Oh man, well, sorry I did that. I think everybody's well. Yeah, now we've got another weird thing going on. I think you should put those earbuds back in because people are going to be hearing me through your speakers now.
Ooh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't want that. Let's hope the crackling doesn't come back. All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
All right, yeah, now we're good. Now, because before that, your mic was picking up your speaker and it was spitting me back to everybody. I do remember Pencil Jack. Now that you mentioned that, I don't really remember what it was, but I remember it came out right around the same time CAF did. So maybe in some weird way, I don't remember the correspondence.
No, it was a site that hosted for aspiring amateurs. Digital webbing and pencil jack, and at the time it was really hard to upload your art to forums. They didn't just have you couldn't click a button. You'd have to go to like, I forget what image thing, and you'd have to get the URL and have to do the whatever language it was and get it in there. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. I wasn't that tech savvy. So I started uploading my art to digital webbing and just linking it back, or loading my art up to CAF and linking it back. I've since deleted all those old sample pages, but I was getting a lot of hits, and I think I showed up in the top 10 on the site, and you were like, your art's terrible. Why are you in the top 10? Right? So,
I don't think I said that. Did I actually say that? Did I say your art's terrible?
I'm a mind reader. I know. I've seen those pages. I know what you thought. So
I don't know. I could say early on when we weren't making any money on CAF, I was always worried about people using CAF as like an image host platform, and that might have been what started it. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember the conversation. But what happened between you and Felix then?
I guess because I was on the site, and maybe because I made the top 10, Felix reached out, and this was very early on, probably 2005 also. And he was into all these Kung Fu movies, and he wanted me to watch these. I forget the guy's name, but it's some really incredible Asian martial artist actor. And he was like telling me the movies, and I went and bought the VHSs and I watched them all, and he wanted a really big commission, and I ended up not doing it. So my first interaction with Felix was a letdown. And then we ended up, I was the first artist with Felix Comic Art. He was into the Manhattan projects. Mm-hmm. And he basically came up to me at a show, and he said he thought he could do something with my art. And I said, you know what, let's find out, buddy. And we did it. And so we launched Felix Comic Art, and he's such a wonderful businessman and a wonderful friend, and just a wonderful. He's like a father figure in the comic book art market for me. So he's always watching out for us guys. And best decision I ever made was betting on Felix. So it's worked out really well for, I think, all the guys and girls that he reps. So yeah,
I'm sure he feels the same way. I mean, I didn't realize you were the first person that he talked to about repping, but that was a good decision on his part too. I mean, he's always had a good eye for talent and unique, especially artists with a very unique perspective on their work. And so certainly when if he was, I can see why he really was into the Manhattan project, and so I can see why he would gravitate to you and want to talk to you first.
Yeah, he got lucky with me too, because I'm a fat mouth, and I would go to all the other artists and be like, you draw better than me, why do I make more money than you? Why don't you come over with us? So, and so that's how we started getting some guys to come over to Felix.
It always seems like, with most reps, it's like they get that one person who's really good at either talking them up or talking a little trash with the other artists, and it brings in other talent. I mean, I've heard that story from a few different reps, but that's good. I mean, so again, it's back to why choosing you to work with early on was a good pick for him.
Yeah, it was a home run. He did great. He's only got a few more gray hairs because of it, but it's a wonderful relationship. Not joking around. I know I give him crap, and I know I don't do enough. of my part, you know, getting them pages in time and all that. But just as a guy that's, I think he's like our knife in the industry. He watches out for us, and he knows the market well. So it was cool. Here's a side note. He almost called it Furioso comic art. And then me, Nick Dragata, and Riley Rossmo talked him out of it. So I was like,
well, I've not heard that before.
yeah. That's an early tidbit.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Mikhail says it's the headphone jack on there. Your crackling is a little bit back again, man. It's unfortunate, but that's just weird. You know, I bet if well, it's probably overriding the mic. Do you see a settings button at the bottom of the screen?
I do.
Click on that and see which mic is set.
It says iPad. It says iPad microphone. Echo cancellation is on, and automatically adjust mic volume is on. So
and which but when you're on the audio tab and it's set to mic, it's set to the iPad.
Oh, it says iPad microphone, so I need to do headset microphone. There we go.
Try that.
Okay, I just did it.
All right, let's see how that goes.
Is that better, guys?
Yeah, actually, that's a whole lot better.
All right.
Perfect.
All right, yeah, well, there you go. Mikhail, thank you. You saved the day.
So here's a good question from Ruben, and it's, I guess, timely from what we're talking about here. Ruben wanted to know if you can tell us briefly what Manhattan Projects was about and why people should read it.
Well, the Manhattan Projects is about the program called the Manhattan Projects. It was the Manhattan Project. It was a top secret program where we built the atomic bomb, and it was so secret that we had a whole city worth of people working on it, and not even the vice president knew about it. So when I got with Hickman, he really liked my weird art, and he was like, what if we do the Manhattan Projects? What else did Einstein and Oppenheimer and Feynman do that was also top secret? And that's like, you know, jumping through portals and getting drunk and fighting aliens and all that stuff. So it's an alt history book, and it was done in a really interesting way. We did most of it Marvel style, where I think the panel to panel stuff, my mind was fully in, and then the overarching stuff, Hickman kind of planned out, and something about the two worked together really well for the fans. So we made the New York Times bestsellers list with it. I still get paid for it today. And we got an Eisner nomination for it. So yeah, it's if you know me at all, that's what you know me from. So yeah, it's a cool book. I really love the first 20 issues. The last 10 or so I didn't love as much, but we had hard plotted out the first 20, and we knew exactly where we were going, but we were kind of, you know, doing the tango getting there. So it was a lot of fun. So and you know, we never know. We do have plans to eventually get back to it one day, but we're both doing our own things right now. So one day we'll get back to it.
So Ruben says, so it's alt history, but would you say it's humorous?
Oh yeah. I think it's pretty funny. It's funny to me. So I think Hickman can sometimes be a little dry, and I'm a little too goofy. So we balanced each other out well. I think so.
Well, I hate to say I haven't read it, but I will correct that. I've always was interested because I love the art, and just looking at the imagery, I was like, I kind of get what this is probably about, and but I never read it, so now I feel terrible, Nick. But I will correct that. I promise.
Hey, it's all good. I haven't signed up for the premium membership, so we're even now.
All right. Well, maybe if I read it and I like it, maybe I'll just give you a free premium membership for a year, so we can get better images in your CAF Gallery.
Don't buy it, because I want to do a drawing for you, and I'll mail you. I got some really nice hardcovers. I'll mail you a hardcover with the sketch in it. So please don't buy it. I owe you a little bit more than just smooching off your website all the time. So
I'm not going to complain, even though I guess I did complain early on when you were getting started. But I'm glad you stuck with the site though, and didn't allow my whatever abrasive comments I had for you, back in 08 or so. You stuck with it. So I appreciate that. But
no, you're awesome, man. I was just teasing you. I had no right to be hosting my crappy art on your site. So, but I do appreciate the site, and I'm definitely going to send you a book.
All right. Hey, and Chuck Arnold, who I know is also a big Frank Quitely fan, says it's one of the best comics of the modern image books. Hickman and Pitarra are a great team. So,
thank you, Chuck.
All right. So, we might as well just kind of roll with some questions here before we get into the other things we have to talk about tonight. Rob Riley wanted to know what other projects are you working on? I guess in a weird way, we could talk about the thing that I've got a few slide images from, which was your upcoming Zoop project campaign. So do you want
Yeah,
to talk about that
yes.
now?
Yeah, I can talk about it. So I've been writing and drawing my own book for the last year and a half. The book's about this faceless barbarian who he's in a world of monsters and mayhem, and he makes this kind of precious discovery, and he's going to find out what he's willing to lose in order to protect what he loves most. And I came up with the concept. It's called Wielder John. It's the first book I'm writing and drawing myself. I came up with it when my first daughter was born, and she was sick in the hospital for a few months. And when I started doodling this character when we were in the NICU, and I'd go back to the Ronald McDonald House where we were staying at the time, and he was kind of like a hero that came to me when I needed it. And when my daughter was sick, the doctors say, or religious people in my family would say, give it over to God or trust the doctors. And I kind of wanted to, you want to fix things yourself, but you're kind of helpless. So I started doodling this character. He was covered in axes, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if this was like a character who took no shit, and he was going to fix the world his way? But the dilemma of that would be his way is wielding axes. So how do you fix things when you just break them, right? And so that's kind of how his story art came to me, and then scenes started coming to me, and I started writing and drawing it. And something about this art that you're showing is I've been drawing it about 30 inches high and about 17 inches wide. Every panel is on its own 11 by 17 board. So it doesn't quite work out to 11, but yeah, every panel is on its own board. So I've been doing that for the last year and a half. So every day I just give myself a panel a day on the 2/3 page there that you see. That's like a double page spread, on my drafting table, right? So, and I've been using really small microns, the 003 and 005, which are the two smallest they make. And I kind of gave myself this rule where I was going to only draw as big as I can and ink as small as I can, keep it really tight and keep it really controlled. And it's this over-the-top barbarian story. And I don't know if you've ever seen Desperado and Danny Trejo's This Knife Thrower. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had him just have 100 axes on him, and wielded axes that way. So. That's it. And I'm launching it on Zoop, and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we get into my own collection, because I've already gotten some pieces back from some really wonderful artists. I'm really bad about whenever I start drawing something, I start getting commissions for it. So like with Manhattan Projects, I probably got 80 or 90 Manhattan Projects commissions. So I've already started getting Wielder John commissions in. So yeah, that's the book. I'm drawing it with as much detail as I can, and it's a huge passion project for me. And I think Felix is going to show the art off soon and sell some soon. And what we're going to do for fans is I've got a reader's copy for myself. I've got a great book designer in Ben Dieter who did Little Bird. But what I do on my end is I correlate the JPEGs as they come in. And I'm going to make a Frankenstein version for people who sign up for the campaign to read early. And then they can read the book and see if they want to buy any of the pages. So we're going to do that with Felix the next couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's some mock-up images of what the book will look like, and that covers by Dos Pastores, and we'll show that off later today. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of great imagery in here. A lot of he's not delicate with in his approach to handling situations.
No, not at all, not at all.
Well, it's impressive that these, like you said, these on this image here, the one on the left, that all of those are 11 by 17. So, here I'm thinking, wow, you're cramming all this detail into a full 11 by 17. So you're really going all out then with the detail on this stuff, because they have to be amazing to see these things in person.
Yeah, it's been a fun process. And the way I thought about it was, if we ever did digest size, or if it was ever translated to a manga, you would just have to read it straight down. You wouldn't have to do any more recorrelation. Or if I ever want to run it as a web comic, they're pretty much all horizontal panels except for the twice up panels, so that it would read on the phone really well. I was just thinking about how to handle it marketing wise. Plus, with the two little girls now and one having medical issues, or she's better now, but she did. I was like, how can I get work done? And I was like, the easiest way would just it's a lot less pressure to do a panel a day than a page a day. But of course, I made it 11 by 17. So yeah, that was the plan. And it's been going good. I've actually been incredibly productive on it. It's almost complete. I got 14 pages left to draw, and by the time the campaign ends, that'll all be done. So at least my part, the colorist is a little far behind me, so he's catching up now. And Mike Garland's doing the colors, and they're fantastic. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited for people to read it. And then with Zoop being a new platform, the reason why more people are going over there is because they do all the fulfillment and customer service. So it takes that off our hands.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that they
Yeah,
actually do all that for you. Okay, that's pretty impressive then.
yeah, that's why I went with them, because I just knew I'm terrible at mailing stuff out. So having them on board was really cool.
Yeah, I think there was a question about why you choose to go with Zoop versus Substack or some other platforms, but that makes sense now. I mean, if they're able
Yeah,
to
I
handle
actually
that for you.
Kickstarter saw the art, and they were really kind. Their head of marketing reached out, and their head of publishing reached out, and they said they saw the art, and they said, would you please get on the Zoom with us? And I did, and they made a really tempting offer. They were going to give me the premium spot on Kickstarter, but I was like, I already told Zoop yes, so I got to keep my word. So much to my wife's dismay, I did not accept Kickstarter's offer.
Well, I think Zoop, they've clearly been making, a lot of people have been using them of late. So I know that Scott Doonbeer's used them for a couple projects, and so I think they're getting better known. And I didn't realize they did all that for you as well. So as a creator, I can see that would be a really, really tempting process to go through that, so you don't have to deal with the fulfillment side of things. Because no matter what, I mean, that's always the biggest drag of any project is getting the materials to the backers. So
they're fantastic. It's Eric Moss and Jordan Poloski who's running it, and they've been involved in comics. Eric has a background in comics. He was part of the Berserker Kickstarter, the really big campaign with Keanu Reeves. And the cool thing about it is, I'm in a text chain with them. I couldn't do this with Kickstarter with Indiegogo, where okay, I need y'all to collab with Felix. How can we make this happen with your platform? And they're very receptive to these kind of suggestions. So they really tailor make and work. They really work with you and really try to tailor the experience for the creator to be as happy as possible. So for me, it's what I needed to make sure the book could get into customers' hands, knowing that we had fulfillment lined up and customer service lined up, and that's something I'm not very good at. So it only made good business sense to offset that.
Well, it makes perfect sense to me. So Scott Wingo wanted to know if you had any of the originals nearby that you could show for scale.
Felix told me don't show any off yet, so
okay.
I actually no, and Felix gonna be mad, but I was supposed to overnight him yesterday, but the stack of art is like this thick, and I got to overnight them, so it's gonna be like $400 or $500. So I'm going through and numbering the pages, and the pages are really hard to number because they're all scattered and they're all individual panels. So I'm having to write the panel boards on the back, and I was supposed to mail them out today or yesterday, and now Felix now knows that they're not out yet. So, but they're in the other room, and I'm still working through them. So yeah, but Felix is going to do a private art show and tell for anyone who buys. Yeah, he's going to do that, and then he's going to have a separate one for collectors if anyone wants to check that out in a couple weeks. And it'll be tied to the Zoop campaign. It'll be like the Felix Comic Art tier, and when you buy that tier, you get the book, and then he'll send you get the link for a private art show and tell. So he told me don't show off too much stuff today. So, but I really don't want to just show it the whole time. Like we can get to my collecting nonsense if you want. I appreciate you letting me plug it for sure.
No, we'll get to it, but. So the crackling did come back. I'm just kind of curious if you can check your settings again, just to see if by some weird chance your iPad switched it back to the other mic again. And just so you know, Mikhail, I thought that earlier as well, but it wasn't the mic rustling against his shirt. So I don't think it's that. I don't know what it is. We'll deal with it if we have to. But if
it might just be that this headset's a dud. It says headset microphone now. I can pull it away from my face and hold it away a little bit. I don't know if that helps at all. I used to have another mic around here somewhere, but I don't really see it, unfortunately.
Well, we're gonna make do, Nick.
I apologize. I'm sorry, guys.
No, but that makes sense. I mean, Felix, it's back to Felix has a great mind for marketing, so I get why he wouldn't want you to show the originals in hand or anything like that. And the approach that he's taken there sounds like a really good idea as well. So he's going to get all the collectors who are interested in picking up art, a little sneak peeks and things like that leading up to things. So sorry, I was just reading the chat. I think we're good now, though. I think we're good now with your audio. Fingers crossed.
All right. I'm gonna keep holding it away from my face a little bit. I'll try to talk not as loud too, so if it does pop, it doesn't hurt too much, you know.
There you go. It's not hurting at all. It's just a little crackle here and there. So when does well, I put the link in the chat for everybody who's on YouTube. I don't think it went over to Facebook yet, but you should sign up for announcements on the Zoop page. So if anybody has not visited, I'll put the link in there one more time. So
if you I bought the URL axewielder.com, and it'll send you right to the page. Anyone on the email list, I'm doing a Marvel Masterpiece card of Wielder John, and I'm giving it away to anyone on the email list. So if you just go there and sign up, if you make any purchase, with your purchase you'll get that. And right now I think we've got a good amount on the email list, so I got to print quite a few. So if anyone is thinking about getting the book, hit the email list and you'll get a extra perk with it. So
all right, there you go. I'm going to sign up for it tonight. So, so wait. Well, when does it actually state when it's going to start? Or
it starts next Tuesday in 1 week. Tuesday. So yeah, we got to update the page because it's been like the pre-campaign page, but we're launching in 1 week. So in 1 week we go live, and if you sign up on the email, you'll get the notification that day when the campaign's live.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. I expect most of you to sign up for that, please. So, all right, Nick. Well, okay. So, 2005, you created an account on CAF that you're using as an artist. So at that point in time, were you actually collecting at 2005, or were you just really getting started, in your art career, and you were looking for, hosting, or what brought you to CAF in the first place, I guess?
Well, I'd started collecting probably in 2000, maybe, yeah, probably 2000, right out of high school. The second I didn't draw in high school, and I met a kid who was going to the Kubert school. I kind of got kicked out of a reading class, and I got stuck in a remedial reading class. And in that class, there was a guy who was in that class because he was drawing all day, and he happened to be going to a school called the Kubert school. And I was blown away that I could sit next to him and watch him draw. It was like a magic trick. And so I kind of got out of football and I started drawing. And with him, he went to the Kubert school. I would visit, and when I realized that the pages were 11 by 17, I thought, well, okay, then they must exist. I went on eBay, borrowed my mom's credit card, and for $25, I got a Duncan Rouleau Bizarro page inked by Jose Marzan Jr., and I think that's who was selling it. It was $25, and I was like, this is awesome. So I bought it and still have that page today, and then kind of got the bug. And at the time, I didn't really have an influence, but I would go to the shop with my buddy, and he would like the Kuberts, and I like the Kuberts, but I consider them more romanticized art. They're like really polished and kind of like Jim Lee. And then when I picked up the Authority, it was so like mashed potato-y and cool, and it just spoke to me in a really cool way. So I was like, this guy can draw. And I brought it up to the Kubert school because my buddy was going there, and I would go visit him up in Jersey. And when I went up there, I showed him this Frank Quietly art, and they're like, that guy draws like everyone's made of mashed potatoes. He's terrible. And I was like, no, dude, this guy's the truth. He's the man. And then later in that year, Wizard gave issue 14 of the Authority, which was my favorite issue, the award for best issue of the year. And I was like, I'm kind of on to something here. And this guy draws good. Then you quickly learn that he likes Mobius, and you figure out who Mobius is. Mm-hmm. You figure out who Jeff Darrow is. And, Seth Fisher is a really big one for me. And they're all kind of on the Mobius tree and kind of influences. And I just kind of found my guys that I loved. And I've kind of been trying to draw that way ever since. I'm kind of a Kmart version of all those guys, but Kmart ain't bad. You know what I mean?
No, I shopped at Kmart all the time. My mom loved that place. We bought our first VHS recorder from Kmart, so can't go wrong. Somebody wanted you to tell a story. Jerry Schaefer said, hey, Nick, tell the Vin story when you met him in Glasgow.
We can tell that story because I got some art. Yeah, I got some art from Vin in Glasgow, and so I'm happy to share that story. I'll share it. We don't need to be redundant with it. So yeah. So basically, I started checking out CAF then, where you could upload your pages, and that's the long-winded story of how I started drawing, how I got into collecting, and when I realized Quietly was a name, he was repped by Mitch.
He was repped by Mitch back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I would save up. I was working fast food and stuff, and I'd save up for a couple of weeks, and I'd get a page for a couple $100, and it started then. And the cool thing about it, like, there's two cool things. Like, since I'm a pro now, if people come up, I'm like, "Who's my favorite?" Or if I give free art lessons to kids, and I'm always like, check out these guys. But it's kind of like you can influence the market in a way. Like, I like Quietly a lot, so I tell people Quietly's good, and then more people buy them, and then my collection goes up in value. It's kind of cool. So
It is
little
the market does work like that sometimes. Yeah.
market manipulation. So it's worked out well.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I've bought. I know Chuck Arnold says a couple $100. That. I mean, but back then you could get pages around that. I mean, I remember buying a page from New X-Men 115, the final page. I got that off Spencer's site. I got it for $40. I still own it today.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
When Genosha was getting killed by the giant, destroyed by the giant sentinels, it's coming out of the ocean. It was fantastic, and yeah, I still have it, but $40. And even Mitch, his pages were in that 250, 350 range, and I mean, I owned the cover to 114 for a long time. So
really,
yeah, I regret that one. Trust me, I sold it a couple of years after I bought it. But yeah, no, I love Quietly's work. So he's a major talent. But yeah, the market was very different back then. When he was there, the prices were a lot more affordable. But his stuff commands a great price today, and it's well deserved, because I mean, he's just amazing. I don't care if people consider him mashed potato faces or not. I've never heard that before, but no, I mean, I felt the same way about his work when I discovered it. Like he's
a true master, and I'm going to freak everybody out here and really put his market on top. But if you look at what's blown up in the 90s and 80s, it's the best writer and the best artist on the biggest characters. So you can put Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly on All-Star Superman. So you got Superman, an icon character. And then those. I mean, if there's anything that's going to be Dark Knight-esque in the future, it's not going to be another Dark Knight book. It's going to be someone who wrote a love letter to Superman, and it's going to be in the best hand that ever drew, and it's going to be in this generation's Alan Moore, right? So All-Star Superman pages are going to be the next blow up thing. They already are impossible to get, but they're. I mean, if you just look at how the history of the market goes, I really believe that the All-Star Superman market is going to just stay really high and be blue chip for forever. All of us older guys or mid-tier guys, I'm almost 40 now. As we age up, we're going to go back to the stuff we loved when we were 25 or 26, and we're going to hopefully we all make more money, and we'll push the market. So I really believe Quietly it's like you're getting a master, and then if you can get him on a big character, that I just think the market will do what it does after that. So.
Well, you're not going to get any arguments from me at all. I didn't read The Authority when it first came out. I kind of went back to it after I learned about Quietly, and I didn't really know Quietly's work until New X-Men, which is terrible to say that, because a lot of his work before that was so amazing. But that's when I first picked up on him, and then went back and read Flex Mentallo and just many other things. So no, but you figured it out early, so that's cool. And Marcus is right. Bill hates DC. I mean, I was never a DC guy. That's why I've missed out on a lot of creators just for that very reason.
The Authority isn't highbrow at all. But when I had never read a comic book, I didn't know people could die in comic books, and I picked it up, and you see the Midnighter, and he's gay, and he's killing people. I was like, this is so over the top, man. This is like comic books. People can die in comics. I was like, so it was like the perfect thing for a 17-year-old me at the time. There's better comics out there, but not for that. That's like my nostalgia factor comic for sure, where the nostalgia takes over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I remember reading about it, and I just thought, well, maybe it's probably just too gratuitous violence, and so I shouldn't. Why would I want to read that? I don't want to. I always try to avoid things I think that I'm supposed to read, and that probably would have been one of those ones where I felt like they're trying to steer me to it. I was reading Wizard all the time, and I think I'd see stuff in there about the Authority, and I'd be like, nah. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be swayed to read this book, even though it sounds really cool. And I'd love to see, heroes flying through the bodies of villains and crazy stuff like that. But I'm like, I didn't until he did New X-Men with Grant Morrison, and then I went back and now I own a couple Authority pages as well, and so no, I mean I love it.
Speaking of heroes flying through villains, that if anyone does have that, Apollo flying through Titan's head. I've been looking
Yeah,
for that forever. I've never seen it pop up on the market. Don't tell me you have it though.
I don't.
But
I
if
don't.
because I've been looking for that. That's one of my top 2 or 3 grail pieces. So if anyone has that, man, come rip me off. You know what I mean?
Oh man. All right. Well, you know what? You want to look at some art? I mean, we could keep talking about this kind of stuff, but you've got you sent me actually a little bit more artwork than I'd asked for. So I know we've got a few more pieces to look at, and I think most of the pieces you sent me have a good story. So
Yeah, there's little stories. I sent you extra in case we burn through some fast. Some are like I'll say what I need to say about an artist, but I got multiple examples, so we can brush through the next 2 if there's a couple examples. But I sent extra just in case. I talk really fast, so I don't want to burn up the time too quick. So, but we can leave them off too. I actually forgot quite a few pieces. It was the hardest thing. I was like, 16 pieces is too many, and then I started scanning them in, the last couple of days, and I was like, how do I leave any of these out? I love them all, So I try to keep ones that had a story with them a little bit. So yeah.
right. Well, I know you had sent me that zip file, and there were images in the zip file that weren't in the email you sent me. So I made slides out of those too, just to be on the safe side.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for doing that. That's awesome. Because I was looking at that email and I was like, I forgot this, and that. But I tried to stop at 16, but I think I made it to 20 or something.
I think you did too. But that's the thing. Most people tell me that too. It's like they go into it thinking, 16 pieces is really easy to figure out, and it's not. I mean, if you've got double that, if you have 32 pages of art in your collection, picking your favorite 16 is really tough. I mean, it just is. And so I think it's a good exercise for all of us. I've never had to do it, but I think as a collector, it's probably good to kind of go through that and figure out what 16 pieces are the ones that you want to talk about, since this could be your one and only opportunity to talk about your art collection, right? So in front of the masses here on Comic Art Live. But yeah, let's get started with this first one, because I really like it, and it's Quietly, and I know we're going to see a fair amount of Quietly artwork tonight.
Yeah, so Flex Mentallo #1. The story behind this is kind of a trade that Mir Felix didn't want to do. And so what happened was, like I mentioned, my daughter was sick in the hospital, and I had sent Felix, we had thought a different Quietly piece was coming up for auction, and I kind of took a bunch of pieces out of my collection and mailed them to Felix, and it was probably worth, estimated $15,000-$20,000. We were going to go really big on this other piece. And when my daughter got sick, we didn't have any money coming in. Felix, being the wonderful man that he is, wrote my wife a check for all the art that I sent, which is really cool. And so what he did was he mailed my wife the check, and then we were like blown away, super cool. Took the art so I didn't have to piece it out and sell it quick. Then this piece came up for like $8,000 or so. And he knows I love Flex Mentallo, my favorite book. So what he did was he bought it and sat on it for years until I could work a deal out with him. So then we had this Alan Moore piece that I love, and I did not want to trade my Alan Moore piece for that piece, right? So he, and I sent you a picture of that. It's not that good. Yeah, so that was my favorite piece. And so when his wife got sick, I knew he loved that piece, so I sent him that. So we kind of did a gift giving thing that wasn't a trade, and so it was a super cool thing. It's like my happiest thing in comic book collecting. So I lost my favorite Quietly, which I might like better than the Flex, and he lost the Flex, which I think he likes better than the Alan Moore. But we were both pretty happy in the end. So it's my absolute favorite piece. So yeah, Flex, but I lost the Alan Moore, so I'm getting upset thinking about losing that Alan Moore already.
The Alan Moore is pretty spectacular, but that was so Felix picked it up knowing that one day it might find its way to you.
Yeah, so he bought it. He knew I was broke at the time, and so it was up for, I think it was 7,000, and he's like, "There's no way we're going to get it for 7 or best offer." And so Felix went in and I think he offered 8, and then the collector who was selling it was an Elvira artist. So he said, "Hey, I'm going to offer 8 and a commission of Elvira," or he was an Elvira collector. And so he's like, "And we'll do a commission, so no one can top the commission from you." And so I was like, "Do it." And then he sat on it because we couldn't figure out how I could acquire it. But I did have, I've got a decent collection. So I knew he loved the Alan Moore piece. And so I was like, so we were going back and forth, and we kept saying like, I was like, my Alan Moore piece is better than that one. And he would say, well, I got the cover #1 of Flex Mentallo. We were the stalemate for like 2 years. And then the craziest thing is Chuck Arnold, who's a huge Quietly collector, Felix just ends up sending it to me so we can, not so we can get the deal done. He's like, just you hold it now, and then we can talk it out. The same day, Chuck Arnold texts me and says, hey, I just got the prelim. And then I go open my door, and Felix didn't tell me he was sending it. And the Flex cover came to me. So on the same day, Chuck got the prelim or one of the prelims, and I got the original cover. They just Flex Mentallo, the Man of Muscle Mystery, showed up at our doorstep. And we are by far the most crazy enthusiasts of Quietly art. Me and him will message and talk all the time. You got to get him on because he's so intelligent, and he's a rabid collector, and he can talk better about Quietly than me. So
we could work that out. So what was that other image? The other Quietly.
Oh,
image?
so that was so that's one of the prelims, and I got that from Albert. I'd heard Albert maybe acquired it in a collection, and I was like, I gotta at least get one of the prelims for the first cover. And at one, I'm blown away that Quietly would spend that kind of time on a prelim. But it was Albert who had it. And so me and Albert worked out a trade. And man, trading with Albert is very, very tough. That's all I got to say. So I worked out a trade with Albert and married that back. And eventually I'm going to get that one that showed up to Chuck as well. I'm going to marry all three back together at some point. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Does Chuck know this?
He knows. He's waiting. He's waiting for it to rip me off more like everybody does, but that's fine. You can't get ripped off with Quietly because the market will catch back up. So that's how it works.
No, you can't. Brett Mixon asks if you have any We3 art.
He's never sold any We3 art. Allegedly, there's a paint. I visited him in Scotland, and I got to see it all. The only thing that's missing, or allegedly he sold years ago for a good amount, was the painted trade paperback cover, allegedly. He on the deluxe edition, he decided to add some pages for the deluxe edition, and I tried to get Quietly to agree to sell those, and he wouldn't. He said no. So so there's no We3 art out there. I think the only piece of We3 art out there is on the back of a Chuck Arnold piece that he had bought a cover and Quietly had printed out a page on accident, and he just drew on the other side. So I think the only one that has like even a replication of a We3 piece is Chuck Arnold, actually.
Oh, wow. There you go, Chuck. Yeah, Chuck was mentioning the cover of the trade paperback is out there. Yep. And he said he's agreeing with you. Oh, man. Well, yeah, We3 was a good read. I really enjoyed that as well. Let's see. Well, here we go. This is I know there's a story with this one because this has a photograph of your wife with it. Yeah. So let me show this one.
So this is So I convinced. Well, since I spent so much on Quietly art, I said, well, she can have a piece, which she wasn't really interested in. But then I saw this Wonder Wife thing, and we were getting married or about to get married, and so I bought it for her. And then one day she was just dressed up, and she kind of looked like she could throw something on and do it. So I was like, it'll be funny if we send this to Vin, which Quietly's real name is Vincent. So I did that, but now she's my domesticated wife now, and I'm a 1950s husband. So anyway, I thought it was funny, and so yeah, we keep the love life alive by getting her to cosplay as Frank Quietly art. So it works out well.
Oh man, but this is cool. You know, and again, having your wife do that for you, that's pretty awesome.
But, yeah, and if you want to talk about the piece, just the meticulous detail on it, that figure is probably the size of a G.I. Joe figure on the page. It's so tiny, but you can like zoom in the bottom of that with your eyes. Just look at the bottom of that vacuum cleaner, and it's just got crazy detail, and the subtlety of the drapery is amazing. You know, like the way he understands forms front to back and subtlety, and the fact that he can even do it mechanically with his hand is incredible. So yeah, so I thought it'd be a funny thing to share. I don't get to share another piece because I wanted to make a joke. So there you go.
Yeah, everybody's razzing me. That's also me in cosplay. No, never do that, Mark. I would never dress like that. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. But I agree with you on Quietly. It's, you know, because you look at Quietly's work, and initially, you know, it looks so simple, you know, and then when you really get into it, he's really, like you just said, a master of form. He knows the way things should lay. I mean, he does so much but he's a meticulous drawer, you know, and I think a lot of people, you know, that's why I guess he's criticized for being slow and all those things, but man, his pencils are just so beautiful. I'd almost always rather have a penciled only piece by Frank than any inked piece out there, just because I love being able to see his process and the work that he puts into these pieces. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, people are asking lots of questions. Has he sold any packs from Monopages? Yeah.
He has sold a few packs from Monopages. Albert Moy has a couple up, and I think they're very affordable. If I wasn't in the middle of, like, I funded Axe Wielder John all by myself, so I haven't took a paycheck and I didn't send it to a publisher in a year. So I've actually been selling some of my artwork off to fund, to keep the house running. But the second I make money on Axe Wielder, those pages will be gone. So I would hop over these. There's a really affordable piece, I think $3,500, and there's only been a couple ever released. So there's one on Albert Moy's site now. It won't be
Everybody's
there for
going
long.
over to Albert's site right now.
Yeah. It's good. It's got the whole team on it too. So it's got the whole team, and Quietly's rep Joe Melchior. He says Vin doesn't want to let pieces go anymore, so his releases are going to be few and far between. The fact that one's in the wild and sitting there for, I think, $3,500 is a pretty good deal. That's just me though. Albert, I want a commission on that, buddy.
Hey, Mike has asked this question a couple times. How many hours per day do you draw on average?
Recently a lot. I stay up to about 5 a.m. and then I get it with my girls at 8 a.m. But it's hard to get going in the morning. My wife writes, and so for 2 hours every morning I get up and she goes to the coffee shop and I watch the girls, and then I get to hand the girls off to her, and then I come in here and draw all day. It's been a different process, editing and writing and scripting and thumbnailing. It's not just like I get a script and an assignment anymore. So it's like it becomes a lifestyle. So it's hard to say, like every day I'm either watching your show and drawing or watching some comic book coverage or reading comics. It's like comics is everything, so all day. I would say at least 8 hours for the last year and a half, if not 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was it like working on the Axe Wielder John? I mean, where you're writing and drawing, I mean, did you find yourself just going crazy with the pencils and kind of writing the script afterwards, or did you already have everything pretty well plotted out and you knew what you were doing?
Yeah, so working with Hickman, it gave me a lot of confidence because we would go get coffee or Skype like this, and we would plot the story out, and then I had to do all the mechanical labor of getting us to those points, and then Hickman would come in and write it. So I know the ending shots of Axe Wielder John. I go, all the scenes kind of come to me, and then how do you place those and then turn them, and make a point and then change the point. And so now I just got to draw to get to those points. So I've got a lot of like forward momentum because I'm so excited for people to read it, and I'm so excited for, I need to get to this scene because this is going to be cool. So it feels cool. It's like I'm self-actualizing in a sense as a writer artist, and it's been a fun process. I've written stories before, like Felix has read them and stuff, but I've never really pitched them or sent them to a couple of writers and they read them, but I never really just made the jump. And then the way Axe Wielder came to me, when my daughter was sick, I was like, I'm just going to do it, man. Like, I've got enough art collection to do it. My wife is supportive. I'm just going to do it and stop talking about it. And I always had this thing where, Jack Kirby created the Marvel Universe in his 40s. And I was like, well, I'm going to finish Axe Wielder John Volume 1 by the time I'm 40. And then see how it goes, And so I've never pitched it or anything. It's just I just made it. So I just want to make it as pure as possible. I got a really great editor, Chris Stevens, and he's won some Eisners. And so I just hired him, and then the colorist I just hired Mike Garland and letter Farron Delgado. I like his stuff. So I just built the team I wanted, and I wasn't going to ask permission. I something about asking permission to be able to create my art just is a real turn off. And especially if, I'll be honest, I don't appreciate everyone else's opinion about how to make comic books, or how I want to make it. So, Yeah, so it's going to be a very weird comic book because I don't have much. Instead of when you're paying your editor, he kind of has to nod his head. You know what I mean? So uh,
Hmm.
versus a company paying him, so it'll be definitely just the way I want it by the time it's out. So
Right, right. Well, that's cool though, man. I mean, because Ruben had asked the question about would you rather, are you of a mind to, work on your own projects versus other publisher properties? But I mean, it sounds like you're following this desire of yours right now. I mean, and who knows where that's going to go?
yeah,
I mean, if this project goes really well, I mean, I'm sure there'll be other volumes in the future for Axe Wielder John, right?
yeah. Jeff Darrow called me the other day, and we talked for like an hour and a half. He called from France, and he saw me work online, and he had always been trying to talk to me, and I'm always like kind of like don't want to mess with my heroes too much. I always try to avoid
Mhm.
them. I love them, but I don't want to like kiss their ass too much, or I don't want to be too whatever or annoy them. And so he called, and he was talking about working on Shaolin Cowboy and how he's had all these offers to work on other things, but he says he's making his thing. He's making it the way he wants, and there's something really admirable about that. And so I'm trying to use that as a guiding light. And I got many stories to tell with Axe Wielder John, and I would love to stay with it, but I do love playing with. I think I consider drawing an extension of playing with my action figures again. Only
Mhm.
it's socially acceptable because I'm drawing it, so there's a skill behind it. But it's the same thing you're doing when you're a kid, right? So I do still love to play with my action figures. So it's not like I won't work for the big two, but I really want to build out a brand for myself and a name for myself. And I think people probably don't know who I am in the industry, which is fine. I'm just one of the Nicks that work with Hickman. Me and Nick Dragato always say that. We're just like one of those
Right.
guys that worked with Hickman. But if I write and draw my own stuff and it's decent, like I know I can draw pretty well, right? I think any aspiring comic book writer would be happy to work with me to break in. Well, I can just break myself in. That's kind of how I looked at it. And then I got this joke I tell, and I'll tell it because I'm
Yeah.
going to be rude. But Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, Robert Kirkman, Brian Michael Bendis, Matt Fraction, Donnie Cates. What do all those guys have in common? Do you know?
No.
They're all great writers, but they're also all failed comic book artists. So what I would
Wow,
say is,
you're actually right about that's true.
so what I would say is, I'm just those guys with a little more drive and a little less quit in me. So if they can do it, I can do it. That's how I look at it.
Well,
There's
no,
my gusto statement for the night.
dang. That's yeah, that is. I hope nobody relays that to any of them. But no, I mean, but that's true though. I mean, but so that's why it's got to be so exciting. I mean, like for me, I've been self-employed for a long time. I love making new things, right? And I love just doing whatever I want to do and hopefully hoping it works out, right? I hope it becomes something that's successful. So I totally get where you're coming from, Nick. I mean, that's you're really, you live in the dream when you're able to take those kind of risks. And you have, for me, I couldn't have done the things that I've done without my wife Maureen's support. She wanted me to have a desk job, so that's how I kind of got into doing this sort of thing to begin with. So it's always great when you have the spousal support and you've got the ideas to kind of pursue and push them forward and just kind of do your own thing. And I mean, there's
Well,
nothing
when you
better than that.
think about the difference you've made. Like no one else was putting comic art out there. How far you pushed the market alone? How many people have got to enjoy art, which is incredible, but to own it because of you, and you got to set out and do your own thing. Felix too, like he helps the market and he's changing
Hmm.
people's lives and changing the world in a sense, not like in a big way, but in our own way. And so like I really believe in betting on yourself. I don't before I didn't have the self-discipline to do this, but I've been more disciplined, and with the help with Zoop and fulfilling stuff, like I'm excited about trying to do this on my own and see where it goes. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to be following it. I mean, this is cool, but I love these kinds of stories. They're really, Nick. I mean, I admire it, and and I'm jazzed about it. I mean, it's just I can't wait to see how this thing turns out. I can't, I can see it. There's going to be more volumes because there's almost no way that this isn't going to like be a home run for you. I mean, Chuck's saying it's
I've already paid for the painted covers for the next 3 volumes. So
See, Chuck said Axe Wielder John is going to be the greatest book of the 2020s. Wow,
he's read an early copy. He's one of my proofreaders, so he's
oh,
got to say
good.
that. He's got to say that. So I
But is he
appreciate it,
paid?
Chuck.
Is he paid? He's not paid to say that though.
He hasn't. I'm burning. I tell him if anyone reads the PDF, they better sell at least 2 copies to make up for it. You know what I mean?
Oh man, and Fuzzy Dunlop says the industry has gotten too writer focused. We need to give artists more love and power. That's I guess that's probably true in some way. And what else we got there? I did like when Chuck said every comic book artist is a writer. I mean, especially if you're doing things the Marvel way, you were writing, even though Hickman ends up putting the words on the page. But you if you're working in the Marvel way, I mean, Marvel artists had in that method had to do essentially a lot of the writing and the plotting. I mean,
Well,
it's
there's
just
no.
part of
I mean,
working in this visual medium that we do.
I mean, in comics, like we are the cinematographer, we're the set designer, we're the clothes designer, we're the we're the character's ability to act, because I can say this or I can say this. It's two different worlds. So we're doing all that stuff, but we're not getting any of the awards for all the, like if it was a movie, it would be the guy that gets the screenplay gets one thing, and then everyone else, the special effects and all those guys get something. So it's a little weird, but also make no mistake, like Jonathan Hickman, if I was left on my own with Manhattan Project, it'd be a terrible comic book. Like Jonathan Hickman is an incredible writer. So like make no mistake that the good writers are very important. Like I'd put Alan Moore up there above everybody, but I do think Frank Miller might be more influential. He did write and draw, and he did write for other people too. And he's got so many big successes and big titles, and it's maybe perpetrated pop culture a little more. So Frank Miller and Alan Moore, they're the highest. So I'll still put the writers higher, in a way. But I come for comics to walk around in another artist's imagination. Like I want to see what Art Adams thinking, and the fact that an artist can be so good or create a language that holds your imagination in it, and you want to walk around it is the power of comics. So it's you need both. You definitely need both. So I won't crap talk the writers. I give a lot of credit to those guys. So
yeah, well, you did well. That one comment about the writers who were artists first, that's a
hey,
little.
I tweeted at them. It ain't not true. So that's all good.
Oh man! All right, well, let's look at some more artwork from your collection here. Here's another piece by Quietly, and I know we've even got a photo to go along with this one. But what made you want to pick up this piece?
So I went to visit Frank Quietly. We went to. There was a show in Scotland that was going to fly me out, and I was buying an engagement ring for my wife without her knowing. And so I knew we were going to fly into Ireland first. So I got engaged to my wife on the cliffs of Kerry in Ireland. And the next day we were flying out to meet then. And when I got there, I took as much money as I could in my pockets, which wasn't a lot. And I showed up and I was like, would you be willing to sell anything, And so I really wanted a Flex Mentallo piece at the time, but he was like, no, you don't want to sell that. But in the back of his drawer, this was actually, it doesn't show on the scan, but it's like wrinkled kind of in the back of his drawer. And I was like, what about that Batman Scottish, piece? He's like, I'd be willing to sell it. And he gave me a really good deal on it. But I love that it's called The Scottish Connection. And it quietly had a lot of issues with the book. So I don't think he had a lot of sentimentality when it came to the piece, because it was just going to be a detective story with Bruce Wayne, but they forced Batman to be in the bat suit. And I think he drew this cover a few times, and they wanted the most non-dynamic of his layouts. I think from what he had said, I was so excited to meet him and hear him talk. Plus, he's got that thick Scottish accent that it's hard to understand him. But he was like, oh yeah, I'll sell this to you. So this one's like framed up really big in my house, and it's called The Scottish Connection, and he's my Scottish connection. So. And I think it's the only Batman cover that's ever been inked by Frank Quietly's hand. I think all the rest are penciled, so I got the only one. So it's pretty cool.
Very nice. So when you're visiting Frank, you need to dig to the bottom of the drawer to find the piece that he's probably least interested in. Is that what that's what you're saying?
I'll critique the master now, but the Batman tangent with the bad guy in Batman's knee is pretty incredible. There's a tangent of like Batman's foot, right? Where Batman's where the bad guy's knee and Batman, that tangent is a little iffy there, man. That's my only note to Quietly on that one.
Well, I didn't notice it, but now I can't not stop noticing it.
Hey, it's in my kitchen. I see it every day. So, but it's a beautiful piece, and the stippling on he went to this church and he took pictures, and look at the stippling and texture. You can almost feel the texture on those bricks. Like it's incredible. And then we can get into like the technical stuff on the piece, but that flannel, whatever you want to call that, suit or whatever the bad guy's wearing, like look at the inside, the cast shadow under, inside of the skirt or whatever you want to call it. He drew it all and it's all faded back. It's perfect. Like he's such a master illustrator, and the solid blacks look great. He understands the form so well. I could talk about him a lot, but I'll try to talk a little faster so we can get through these. But it's an incredible piece. It's absolutely amazing. So
Fuzzy wanted to know if you prefer quietly inks or pencils only.
I think when he was at this stage in his career with Flex Mentallo, a lot of the big books at DC, with the Scottish Connection, when he was like young and trying to prove something, those are the most interesting to me. I think when he got sleek with the pencil and got perfect with All-Star Superman, like I think that has a sophistication that the other ones don't have. But I think there's something about when you're young and you finally get to draw Batman, and quietly said that people just thought he was a weird comic book artist in his family. But when you say you drew Batman, he's legitimized, And so that's what that piece meant to him. So, like he was proving something there. He was proving that he was, and it's like, and when he was doing that, he was inspiring me, 20 years later to pick up a pencil, or, 15 years later. So I think that's a really cool thing. Like whatever he was putting into his pages was building his legend. And I think I have a real appreciation for when he was penciling and inking himself. I think those are my favorite pieces. So yeah, that's me, Chris Burnham, and Vin. And, he's the sweetest guy ever. Not Burnham, but definitely quietly. And yeah, me and Burnham have done a few shows together, and we flew up and met him together. And quietly wouldn't let us pay for anything. Bought our beers, bought our pizza, and he was the nicest guy. So the definition of you should meet your heroes. He's the sweetest. If you ever get to meet him, he's nicer of a human than he is the quality of an artist. He's such a sweet man. So. Yeah, he's cool. He's the best.
Man, that would have been fun. I got to meet him once when they did that Morrison Con in Vegas.
That's awesome! You did that.
Yeah, I did.
I wish I could
fun.
have done that show.
Yeah, that was
cool.
It was different. I mean, I just had to see it because I wanted to see what Morrison was going to put together for that. So a friend of mine, I flew out there just to see that show. It was pretty cool. It was very cool. You get Jim Lee was there, and Kirkham was there. I mean, it was an interesting group of people he brought together for that. I've still got a lot of the swag from that show too.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone. It sounded like such an intimate experience, the way they had it set up. So
it was.
Was that in Vegas, or where was that at?
That was at the Hard Rock Hotel.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah,
only Grant Morrison.
Exactly. Okay, over to this beautiful piece by Seth.
Yeah, so this is the late great Seth Fisher. Seth is very early on in my career. He was more mechanical than a lot of the Mobius more rubbery guys, and something about the mechanical nature of it I could learn from a little better. And Batman Snow, I always loved the 66 Batman, right? Like I've always loved the Adam West Batman, and this was so campy and so over the top, and the design for Mr. Freeze was so cool. And seeing such a quirky, charming style on Batman at the time, like you didn't see it. And this ran in what's the syndicated Batman that had had stories in it forever? We were into like 900 issues. Batman's, I forget.
Remember,
but
I'm
anyway,
not a DC guy. I can't help you.
Oh yeah. But it ran along with like all the grim and gritty Batman stories, which was cool. And yeah, Batman Snow was awesome. And this piece was, I believe, it's signed to somebody, and so I thought it was always buried in a collection. And there was almost no Seth Fisher stuff on the market at the time. And then it changed hands, and Felix saw it, and he wrote me. He's like, "Hey, this changed hands. That means that somebody just sold it." Yeah, Legend of the Dark Knight. That's exactly right. So, when it changed hands, he's like, "You want me to reach out?" And I don't even know if the market's reached this, but I'm okay with telling numbers. I don't really mind. But it was like I had exactly $4,000 in my bank account, and I was like, "Will you offer $4,000, Felix?" And he did, and shook it loose. So we got it. I don't know what the other guy paid, but I'm sure I paid more to get it the week later. So yeah. So I was tickled to get it. It's my favorite stuff of Seth's. I know people love Real World, and I got pages from that, but something about seeing Batman drawn that way was just super cool. So yeah, that's how I ended up getting that piece. And we'll talk a little more because I think the next piece is also Seth Fisher too. So
It is now. When you say you only had $4,000 in your bank account, you don't mean like the family bank account, right? So you didn't like
no, I
bring
was
your
a
family
I,
bank
so
account down to zero. This
no,
was
no,
Nick Patera's funny money bank account.
no. So I didn't have a family at the time. So what I did when I was
Oh,
breaking in comics was I would go live with buddies, and I had a futon and a drafting table in a room, like my own little mental prison. And so I would rent from my buddies and just pay them a couple $100 a month and have my drafting table set up and just try to grind and get my work done. And so I just kind of not couch surf, but I lived in Austin with a buddy, Cody Scheibe, who's a fantastic artist, and a couple other friends that they got a divorce and their house was half empty, and so I'd go live with them. And so I had a pull out futon and my drafting table in a room with all my books, and that's just what I did. So if I didn't have any extra money, it went to comic art. So no, so I really was broke, for a little while after
so it
buying that
was your
cover.
last $4,000 when you
It
picked that up.
was, it was. I mean, my wife would never let me do that now, but like those
Mhm.
days of going all out are kind of over. I kind of got to lose my collection to get anything now, but at the time it was like, go big or go home. Uh,
Mhm.
what the worst that could happen is I'm sleeping on a futon, right? It's no different at the time, right?
Maybe a different friend's house, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, let's look at that other image then from Seth, because I included the photograph with this one.
Yeah, so this is Vicky Sheridan, who's Seth Fisher's mom. And I got to go to San Diego Comic-Con. And another great thing Felix did was she had his pages for a while. And Felix took no commission and basically sold Seth's pages on behalf of his family. And I went out and met her. I got to flip through all the pages, and my very, very favorite page of Seth was the one with Commissioner Gordon's steam coming out of his ears and Batman jumping off a building and having a bat fly next to him. I thought it was really charming, and it's like a perfect Seth Fisher page. And so I went out there and like we had dinner with her. I brought her flowers. I got to meet his nephew. I got to meet his stepdad, and we had dinner together and went to the beach, and it was cool. And at the end, she let me buy a page from her. So she let me actually buy two pages, one for Felix and one for me. And then, a year later, Felix started repping Seth, and obviously, I can only say great things about Felix. He's a good guy, really good guy. So yeah, super cool. Got that page, got to meet his family, and actually on the Wielder John campaign. His brother is a lithographer, and we're going to do a big 30 by 22 lithography or a lithograph for Axe Wielder. So he's going to make a couple, and we're going to offer them. So I keep in touch vaguely on Facebook, and so
Mhm.
he reached out, and that was cool. So yeah, I got to go. It was just like the Quietly trip where I got to just go through all of his files of originals. Obviously Seth wasn't there when I got to go, but she pulled them all out for me, and I got to look through, Big in Japan. I got to look at the Tokyo Pop stuff. I got to look at all the Real World stuff. I got to look at just all my favorite pages that, you look at them, trying to aspire to be a comic book artist. And she let me pour through them and check them out. And she let me buy one of my favorite ones. So it was really sweet of her.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I love Seth's work. So I mean, clearly you did too, and Felix. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Seth was just an amazing talent.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
a huge loss. Like Burnham was a big fan too, and I think Burnham said it was the first time he'd cried over anyone that he didn't know in his family. And I remember I was at work at the time when I saw the news online or however I heard it, and it was like your stomach just dropped. It was terrible news, and I never got to meet him. Never knew him, but his work meant a lot to me. And I remember this is way before I got to do this, maybe 10 years. I'd become a professional by the time that picture was taken, but I remember writing from my cubicle at work, and I was like, I reached out. I think his sister was doing an art show with his stuff right after he had passed or something like that, and her
Mhm.
email was on a website, and I reached out and said, hey, you don't know me, and I'm a nobody, but I really appreciated your brother's work, and it's been a guiding light for me. And she eventually wrote back, and back then I got my first Seth. I got a Seth Fisher page then, and they had because were going to offer some on sale in that gallery, and so I got one then, but it wasn't like my favorite. It was still a piece I'll never sell, and I love it. It's a Batman piece. But this one was like I got to meet his family and get a piece. So it means a lot. So like the comic books are my life in a sense. So like getting to get pieces from your heroes or meet their family members is super cool. So yeah, it was a cool experience. Another really wonderful experience in comic book collecting.
Yeah, well, it seems like you've always gone all in on certain things. I mean, that's just it seems like your mentality, whether it's collecting art and now the projects that you're doing. I think that's that's just kind of part of your makeup, Nick.
Irresponsibility is part of my
Irresponsible.
makeup. Yes.
Well, I mean, but where would we be if you weren't irresponsible?
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have Wielder John. We wouldn't have other projects, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the collection you have today without that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's here we go.
This is like, he's not known well in the States, but he's one of my absolute favorite artists. His name is Das Pastoras. And this piece is, to me, the perfect Punisher piece. He did this short story for a Punisher story. I think it was Punisher Max. I think he did half the issue. And it's kind of a retelling of Frank Castle's origin. Excuse me. And in this scene, his family's been killed, but he hasn't cleaned anything up, but he started like decking his house out with guns. And I love that. I think that fourth panel where he can't even look at the table and see his family, but in the foreground, you see everything that he's going to become. It's like that perfect vector. It's like everything that he was and everything that he will be in one shot, which I thought was perfect. And this is hand painted. But I could tell pretty quickly when I was looking at this page, this one was unfortunately digital pencils on this one, but it was really affordable because of it. But I couldn't pass up. This is the printed page, but I could tell by the the tile on the back wall and the tile on the floor that would be so hard in perspective. Just as an artist, that keeping that design in perspective would be tough. So, but he usually does hand paint everything. He does. He did a book called Kestaka with Jodorowsky at Metabaron's book, and yeah, he's an incredible artist. He's a Spanish painter and he's a master. So he's kind of got a Richard Corbin, subtle Frank quietly Liberatore kind of thing going. So
sure, you see Liberatore in there. Yeah, definitely. And what was the name again? Because I'm trying to find my list and I can't find it. But Ruben wanted to know the artist.
His name is Das Pastoras. It's DASPASTORAS. And Jose Villarubio, the colorist, if you find him on Facebook, is his rep and his translator. And there's a Facebook page called The Art of Das Pastoras, and he shares these beautiful paintings, just beautiful paintings. So yeah, with Wielder John, he was my go-to for painted covers. So we reached out. My editor had a relationship with Jose, and he said, "Hey, is Das possible to get?" And he had just finished a big project, was about to start a second one, and he said, "Send him your art and see." And we sent it to him, and he really dug it. And Das has done a lot of violent comic books and stuff, so I thought there was an inkling that he might like Wielder, and he agreed to paint the 3 first hardcover volumes for me, and I've got those. Yeah, there's the first 2 there. So he hand painted Wielder John, and then the main bad guy, Lord Fang, he hand painted him. So I'm blown away. These are I haven't got these in yet, so I don't. Actually, I haven't been holding anything up to show. I got the stack next to me, but I've just been talking. But basically, there's Wielder John, and I think he painted him. It looks cool. It looks like Richard Corbin, and he worked on Metal Hurlan a little bit. So having a master painter draw my characters is just so cool. The only thing agitating is he drew him cooler than me, so that's a little slightly agitating. But he's so good. He's so good. He did a Wolverine. He did 2 Wolverine short stories that are incredible. It's like Wolverine Switchback and Wolverine. There's another one, and they're incredible. And Das has, Jose, I know, sells the pages, but you guys should reach out if you like his stuff. With the Lord Fang design, I really wanted to have spiders in the eyes, and then the hourglass on the spiders be the pupils. So whenever he's looking in the comic book, like when he's looking left to right, his spiders are gonna be moving left to right in his eyes. So I was excited about that.
That's pretty creepy. But cool. I mean, and I like Ruben just mentioned, the colors that he uses are just unbelievable. I mean, they really are striking.
Yeah, they're so rich and cool. So, I mean, I was blown away. Me and my editor were just on the phone and like, can you believe this? Like, these are incredible, right? Like, to me, they're amazing. And to have like, I get this big kick out of making or paying other artists to draw the characters I designed. Like the Manhattan projects, I probably got 80 commissions, and the few other ones I've worked on, I've always get them. So to get back like a piece like this from someone I consider a master,
Hmm.
is it's so cool. Makes me feel legitimate in my own head or something. So that's cool. I put some more pieces like that in there because that's actually a big part of my collecting is like, I like bebop. And so I throw a bebop thing in there, but I might have like 30 examples. So I try
Hmm.
not to just keep it all Frank quietly or whatever. I try to show other things. So something we'll talk about it when we get there, I guess. I don't need to be redundant. So
Well,
there's some more.
there was a question from JW to my bot saying, I don't want to get off topic, but if someone were to buy a page of Axe Wielder John art, do they get the 311 by 17 boards, or are they just getting one, so effectively a panel? I mean, that's a good question. I didn't even
Oh,
think about that.
I assume that they would be sold by page. I don't think Felix would change that. Plus, then everyone would just cherry pick the best panels. You know what I mean? They'll be stuck that
Right,
way.
right.
You know
That's
what
yeah.
I mean? You know what I mean? So, plus, as a collector, I would want the whole page. I don't know if I would just want a panel. And then I know
Right,
like Hard Boiled was done on individual panels, and they're floating out everywhere. And like it'd
right.
be,
Or
I don't
George
want to.
Pratt, right? I mean, when you get
Yeah,
into those Wolverine Natsuki things, all you're getting is a panel half the time. And while that's cool, yeah, I'd rather have the page, or at least all the artwork that made up that page.
yeah, for sure. So I'm going to stress to Felix that we keep the pages sold as pages and not panels. But how are you going to display it? I don't know because there are three boards. You know, they're going to go three in a sleeve. Just put your favorite panel on top. You know,
Right, right.
so
JW says 3 times the money. You don't know how Felix is going to price them. The amazing thing about Felix is I think whenever he does art drops, I think in many cases he could be charging 50% more on a lot of the times he drops art, but he makes sure that, the artwork gets out there to the collectors, and they're not always trying to hit top dollar on them. I think he's, that helps guarantee sellouts, but it also guarantees that collectors are able to afford the artwork too. And he's
I
had a
think it
really great
keeps the
approach.
current moving too. Like if you just showed up and you just have extreme prices, then your
Mhm.
market's not you're not whetting the appetite of the market. You know, you're just kind of you're not growing it in a sense. You got to get pieces out there. So I'm sure Felix will be very reasonable. You know,
Yeah.
whatever he does, he's smarter than me with that stuff. I stay out of that. So
Oh man. All right. Well, let's look at some more art. We're here. We got a lot of art to look at. I want to show off everything that you sent me.
this is something I do with all my projects. This is Leviathan, which is a book I'm still finishing and I'm almost done with it. But it's uh, whenever I've been doing new projects, I try to get my favorite artists to come along. And so this is James Herron, man. James Herron is the man. He's like Kirby and oh, let me silence my phone. It's like Jack Kirby and manga combined. You know,
Mhm.
it's got power, it's got boldness, it's got zipatone, it's got speed lines. He is so good, modern master, I think. And whenever I was launching the book, I was like, oh, I got to get somebody better than me to sell it. So I got him, and then I mean, the piece is incredible. So and the cool thing with me having an outlet to have the pieces, I got on James's commission list through Felix, and then I have a place to publish it too, so I can take a commission and turn it into a published cover as long as they agree or we talk it out beforehand. So I kind of add my own value to some of my pieces by getting to publish them. So it's kind of cool.
Oh yeah. Well, it's most collectors' dream to get a commission and then have it get turned into a cover. So yeah, it's got to be a great feeling. It hasn't happened to me yet, but you hear it all the time. That well, okay, not all the time, but it happens, and it's always. I'm sure the collectors are just thrilled to death to have this piece turned into a cover. So, but I wanted to show
Yeah,
the other image too, because you didn't ask me to do this, but I figured I'd throw it in there.
yeah. So this was he did some roughs first, and they were going to be the silhouette of the two main characters kissing. But I kind of did that on mine. So then I thought the other protagonist is this preacher on the other one. So I said, hey, have him holding up the Bible. up at the Leviathan, and he did it, and so he was able to pull it off.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I always love seeing prelims to final stuff, just to kind of see where the artist's head was and what direction they eventually took the piece. Now, this is one that I know a lot of people are going to really enjoy too, by Trad.
Yeah, Trad, the same thing. Got on Trad's commission list, and again on the 11x17 cover commissions. If you've seen Felix's guys, they do cover quality. So I knew getting on there and getting a cover quality commission, I could use it for a cover. So worked it out with Felix, and we got that done. And Trad is incredible. He's my other top favorite young guy. Him, James, Ian Bertram, Andrew McLean, all these guys that are, like 3 or 4 or 5 years younger than me, doing just incredible work. So I collect all types of guys, older guys, younger guys, who's ever good. So and Trad's the man, and he sent me a bunch of layouts too, but he didn't send the layouts with this one, so I didn't get the layouts for this one. But James did send his layouts along, so that was cool. But yeah, I'm blown away. I mean, Trad's the man. What can you say? He's another modern master. He's still in his mid-30s.
Yeah, I mean, the more I look at this thing, I mean, I want to see it in person. It's blowing my mind just looking at the legs going back.
Yeah, he's going back into infinity. Yeah, he's going back into infinity. It makes no sense, but he's doing like a bunch of, like, his stuff has been morphing. It's been really meticulous, and then it's been more shape driven and more pattern driven. And I think this was like that sweet spot between the two, where you get this rhythm and you get these swirls, but you get the detail and you get the form and the repetition patterns that he does. It's so unique. He's creating his own visual language, and it's incredible. It's incredible to watch, and I'm excited to see where he goes.
Oh no, I mean, anybody who's collecting Trad's work right now just loves this, I mean, and even if they're not like me, I don't own a piece of work by Trad, but I mean, it's just amazing watching his growth as an artist, and just like you said, where he takes it, because you don't really know where it's going to go, because he's just got such a unique eye, and the detail and the thought that goes into his pieces is just crazy. We were talking about I forget, wasn't it it was a Silver Surfer piece we had featured on the CAF update a few weeks back, where it was the surfer in profile, and he was just kind of showing the motion the surfer flying through space. It was just cool, his approach to just kind of melting the surfer away, just to show how fast he was going. I mean, and that's just not something you're going to get from from John Buscema drawing the surfer, right? I mean, it's just a different approach. Trad just has such a unique eye and a unique way of looking at the world, that he can even envision something like that.
Yeah, and with me, I've such respect for that too, because I'm very much a product of my influences. You can look and my style, and you can name 3 or 4 guys. Trad's going into a place where you can only say that's Trad, and that's a really cool place to be as an artist. So he's a young visionary. He's incredible. And he's proven he can do it in so many ways. He was like very Ryan Otley driven early, and then he got like crazy detailed in that 3rd Luther Strode trade. And now he's like, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm doing something new. He always surprises his readers, and he's also a really sweet kid. If you've ever met him, he's so nice. And I mean, you've had him on. So yeah, so he's
that's
really
true.
nice.
No, I did get to
Yeah,
talk about
yeah, you did.
I totally forgot about
that. Yeah, you guys. Yeah. I remember. I watched that one. So he's but he's so sweet and docile. You don't even remember him. He's just the nicest.
No,
guy,
well, it's funny. The Comic Art Live panels are always a blur, because my mind is literally on the show, and then I'm trying to moderate panels at the same time. I probably forgotten more panels that I've talked on than I should. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's pathetic, actually.
I am Trad's #1 hype man, because Felix has a Trad More video on his YouTube channel, and he had all the collectors come and look and talk about Trad's work, and he mic'd me up and I talked about Trad's work. When he cut the video, he only kept my audio, so it sounds like I'm his biggest fan. So I will stick with it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, where's Dave Mandel at? Where's Albert at? Where's all these guys that were supposed to be talking? He's like, no, yours was good. We're just gonna keep yours. I'm like, man, I'm the biggest Trad fan ever. But it's cool. You know what? Couldn't pick a better guy to hype up, because he's incredible. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next artwork here.
This is where we're going to devolve into like other things that I like, and I'm a big fan of Sweet Tooth, but more so, I'm more a fan of Jeff Lemire as a writer artist, and the fact, like, he kind of proves that you can draw anyway as long as your language is consistent. That's something I really believe. So when I collect guys, they don't have to be these high-end master level illustrators. It can just be in an honest hand, and he's one of those guys. And this is the scene where Sweet Tooth is betrayed by Big Guy, and so, or whatever his name is, I forget. So I got this in trade with Jeff Lemire. He saw my first work in Red Wing and said he really liked it, and I was blown away because I was such a Lemire fan. I'd love to work with him one day, actually. And so he's actually a non-failed writer, artist in comics. He actually did do it. So, but I love his stuff. He's incredible. And he wrote, he said, would I trade him? I'm like, I would love to. And I saw this page on a website, and I said, I can't believe nobody's picked this page up. You know, he did a stat on the back, but like, this is the page where he's turning him in, and you're learning that the Big Guy had ulterior motives. You know, and so I just thought, and it's everything I love about, or not everything I love, but a big thing I love is decompressed storytelling, where you say the line, look down, look up, deliver the line. You get really sunk into the characters and really believe the moment sequentially. And I thought that was just a really powerful thing. So yeah, I really liked it.
Well, you picked a good one. But yeah, no, that's cool. I haven't read the whole series, but I've read a few of them.
I actually have not, as much as I like it, I have not read the whole series either. I heard it ends well, but I had caught up with it, and I was waiting for the hardbacks to come out, and then I bought them, but I just haven't got to finish them yet.
Ruben's well, Ruben, I don't think. Well, I can't answer that. I didn't see the TV series. I knew it came out, but I didn't watch it at all.
I thought it was pretty sentimental. I thought it was pretty cool. Done well. I mean, so many things can go wrong with that kind of stuff, and I thought it was done really well. I'm going to be the rudest guest ever if I had to go pee real quick. I drank a bunch of tea while we're talking.
Sure, I can song and dance for a couple minutes. I'll mute your microphone too, so you don't have to worry about that.
Backing on.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Now I've muted him. All right. See, what are we at? We're at the hour and a half mark. We've got about 6 more artworks to look at. So, all right. Everybody says that the TV show is super cute, short enough of a TV season. Stanley, I'll ask about cons when Nick gets back. But no, I didn't watch it. I remember when it came out. I forget what channel it was on, but whatever it was, I actually was subscribed to it at the time. Was that Hulu? Maybe I don't even remember. But yeah, no. We make sure we mute our guests' microphones when they have to use the restroom. Don't you worry about that. Only I would make a mistake to leave mine on. There needs to be an arm wrestling comic, says Colors. Oh, it's on Netflix. Really? Huh. I'll have to check that out, because I did not watch it at all when it came out. All right. So Rich says it as well. Heroes t-shirt hit up by CAF. Oh, that's right. Mikhail is making a set of t-shirts for those going to Heroes. If you're open to that kind of thing, ML on CAF as well. So yeah, it was fun chatting with Nick tonight, isn't it? I mean, he's been in the chat numerous times when we've been doing other interviews or the CAF updates or whatnot. And Nick hit me up, gosh, probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago to do this, and he had a really busy schedule. Hey, Nick's back. Let me unmute his microphone here.
Thanks so much. I was like,
we go another half hour. I'm going.
We'll go quicker. I was like, I shouldn't have drank this tea. I was like, I need to be up. So I was like, drink a bunch of green tea. And I'm like, oh no. Halfway through these answers, I'm like, I'm going to pop over here.
Yeah. Well, I always drink a couple cans of Coke usually before these things too. Because yeah, for me, I get up early, and at this hour, by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I found that Coke is like the best thing to kind of get me sharp again and focused. So I don't know. I went out and bought a couple cases just today because it is really the thing that keeps me going for these shows. But there was a question about cons, and if you have any upcoming cons that you're going to be attending.
No, I got 2 little ones. They're 2 and 3, and I'm not too scared about COVID. I got my vaccination and all that, and but the book we got to print the book still, and it's got to come out. So I really want new product out. Maybe when the Leviathan trade comes out, we're doing that. We're finishing off this summer. So I'll probably have 2 trades coming out around the same time. So probably not till next year. Plus money's just been really tight, pouring everything into the book. So I don't really want to go and like hope to sell or hope to break even. I really just I need to be home working, and there's a lot of logistical stuff with putting a book together that isn't just drawing. You know, I'm learning that kind of the hard way. So,
Sure.
yeah, so doing that, it's just too busy right now. I think keeping my head down and working and getting my obligations art wise completed. I've got like 12 commissions left for Felix too that are lingering right now while I'm finishing the book. And, you know, I got to get those done to keep the fans happy as well. So nothing until I can't poke my head out until I get some of these things cleared off my plate. So in 2023, probably I'll start getting out and about again.
All right. Well, you know, you're not being headstrong. You're being thoughtful and reserved to get your work done. So this is a different phase in your life, Nick. When you're coming into 40, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, hey, parenthood will do that though. It really will.
Well, it forces you to, you know, they get up on a schedule. They have a schedule. Now I have to have a schedule at least somewhat, and and have to provide steadily. You know, can't make silly decisions anymore. So, yeah, I'm learning slowly but surely. I'm learning.
All right. Well, let's yeah. Mikhail says zero pressure on getting his commission done. So, but he can't
Yeah,
wait to show it off.
I know you guys are. They're gonna be great when you get them. I'm gonna get them to you guys. I'm gonna get them. I'm sorry for the delay. So that's all I can say right now. I'm gonna get them. They're gonna be good though. I'm excited about them. They're like, it's an incredible list. I'm like, I want to draw it so bad. I'm itching, and I've been laying them out and doing research on a lot of them. I'm excited about the list. So we got a really good
Well,
list.
I'm sure there'll be wall power commissions, as Felix likes to call them.
He loves coining phrases. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. Well, he coined art drop, for crying out loud, right? I mean, he's no, Felix is all about he should start trademarking all these little things because everybody else is using them. I call them art drops whenever I do one on the show or anything, or if anybody else does them. So yeah, he should he's all about the marketing though.
Yeah,
Love
he's
him for
sharp. He's very sharp.
it. All right, we've got a few more. I think we got like 6 or 7 more pieces to get through if we can.
So this is the artist Jason. I picked this up from Scott Eater. And I love this. This guy might be my favorite, one of my favorites. He did a book called "I Killed Adolf Hitler" that I absolutely love, and he's pared everything down into these like, you know, animalistic or animal cat faces. They're essentially they're icons. And so when you're reading all of his deadpan humor, it just, for me, it hits perfect. And I didn't know you could even find his pages. And I was walking by Scott's booth one day and I saw it, and I needed to blow my money on it. So I was super excited to see his art, and happy to own a piece from him. And his name is just Jason. I think he's a Norwegian cartoonist. And I've read this book, and this is actually a pretty key page, pretty cool page. But it's all this deadpan stuff. And if you ever read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, he talks about the message versus the messenger. And because he draws himself very simply, and then he's telling you something and you're reading the word balloon and you're comprehending it completely, but eventually he starts drawing himself more realistically, and you start being very aware of the messenger and not paying attention to what he said. And this guy is like the other side. Like I love Jeff Darrow and I love the messenger, but with this guy I love the message. And it's probably like the Chris Ware thing where they're the icons, you know. And so like I love that. Like my reading, you know, I'm a pretty diverse reader when it comes to comic books, and I have a background in teaching. And it's interesting because a kid can draw. I think teachers get it a little backwards, because when a kid draws stick figures, they can tell a story, you can follow it along. But the second that kid like mimics and tries to draw from reality, kind of goes down the path of craft, all the adults start saying, "Oh, you draw so good," but really they have their own language, full cloth right away. And so it's interesting to me how the aesthetics, like this guy's pared down aesthetics. What's a good way to explain it? I guess like the smiley face at Walmart. If it's a smiley face at Walmart, it's happiness. It's the smiley face no matter where you go in the world. If it's my face, I look like a fat cartoonist smiling at you, and the message is broken. You know what I mean? So like paring it down to icons really lets you project yourself into the characters, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It really, you know, that's. I wish I should be writing this down, because my youngest daughter, she's going to be going to Ringling in a few years, and
Oh,
she's
that's
got
awesome.
this very unique drawing style, and I've never been really I don't know, like I've never been able to articulate for her why I love what she does, and why I feel she should keep focused at it. Because, but it's just like you were just saying, at that kind of if she were to be drawing your face realistic, it changes everything, and the way she's approaching her the way she draws people or characters or animals is just so unique. And to have that eye at 16, it's like I'm like, don't stop, just keep doing that. Whatever you're doing, don't try to be anybody else. Just keep doing your own thing, because it's a unique approach. It's that, that only she has. And you're right. The moment you try to be something else, it just all goes to hell.
Yeah, there's that hiccup that happens when you first, like, someone will be doing really cool work and then they go to art school and they're inundated with all these different influences and stuff, and then it takes them a while to get back to what they were doing originally. So that might just be part of the process. Eventually, you'll marry more of the craft with what your own voice is.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's, I mean, definitely encourage her to try to hold on to that as much as possible, because I think that's, she'll probably polish it and get better. Obviously, she will, going to the Ringling School. But trying to hold on to that instead of like me, where I'm chasing like three or four guys and not really, not 100% my own voice like Trad or anything. But I like what I like too, So
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, that's Seth. Jason's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite, as far as reading a comic book goes. Sometimes
Hmm.
I'm looking for the spectacle, sometimes I'm looking at the timing and pacing. But as far as immersed in a story, Jason is one of my favorites. So yeah, randomly saw that the only page Scott had. I was like, I'm buying this. So yeah.
Also, so nobody's should be running over to Scott's site right now just to see if there's any other Jason art.
No, but I do think there's a foreign site that hosts this stuff. But I don't speak whatever language it's hosted in. So it's kind of like Milo Manara stuff or something, where it's in Italian, and
Hmm.
so I don't. And I'm always wary about how we get them and how the money's being processed when it comes to that stuff. But he just happened to have one randomly, and I just said, I'll take this. And yeah, he's cool. I picked up a few pieces from him when he's especially at a show.
Hmm.
At show, cash in hand. That's where the deal, will and dealing is happening.
It's very true. Very, very true. No, I'm good friends with Scott. And like somebody mentioned earlier, he always does have the most eclectic art when he's at San Diego or New York Comic Con. So I always check out his booth, because you just never know what he's going to have. He used to always have like some really unique Kirby pencil pieces, but then he has all this really independent art that again, nobody else carries, nobody else has any understanding of it. And Scott's just, he's been
Yeah,
fantastic with
he'll
that.
have like Mobius stuff. He'll have Dave Cooper stuff. He'll have Robert
Mhm.
Crumb stuff. It's like this is insane. The fact that it's all here in one place and just kind of laid out and Mylars all over it. I was like, I love going through that stuff. Me and Nick Dragata, we're really bad together because we're like, there's this. Are you not going to get this? And so if we do a show together, we end up going broke because we end up coming back with a couple of pages instead of any money for our families. So he's a bad influence.
Yeah, I've got a few of those in my life. But let's look at this next piece. It's a pair of artworks here.
Yeah, so this is a really independent guy, and I love this guy's work. His name is Ian Laurie, and he's a very independent Scottish artist. But he, like, this is on an 11 by 17 typing paper. It's 2 pages in one, and this is from a book called "And Then Emily Was Gone." And I read the script for it. It's by a writer named John Lees, and I loved it. And then I instantly started hitting up all my artist friends to try to do covers for it, and I did a cover for it. And there's this character. It's like a urban legend. His name's Bonnie Shaw, and all the parents tell their kids that they act up that Bonnie Shaw is going to get him. And a girl goes missing, and she calls her friend before she goes missing, and she says she saw Bonnie Shaw outside her window, and then she really does go missing. And in the story, the detective that she has to go get, like, the cops don't believe her because it's an urban legend, but there's a schizophrenic detective who's lost his mind at an older age, and he actually believes in monsters. And so this one of her best friend goes out to find this old detective who actually kind of believes her, and they go on this weird, David Lynchian type adventure. But what I like about Ian's art specifically is he just picks up a pencil and draws, and it's its own language, and it's in the most lovingly way possible. It's like a demented child drew it. So while you're reading this scary story, the aesthetics add something that a master illustrator in their own, drawing it perfect wouldn't work. But because it looks like the mind of a half crazy man drew it, adds to the aesthetic of the story when you're reading it. And I always found that very interesting with his stuff. So I've commissioned him a number of times, and he's become a friend. And when I went to visit Vin and or Frank Quietly in Scotland, he came out and met me too. So I got to hang out with him, and we hang out in New York too. And you meet him, he's completely normal. I was thinking he was going to be hunched over like with a hump on his back, but he's completely super cool guy, super normal, just the normalest, sweetest guy, So I love his stuff.
Well, it's brilliant. I love it's hard to call them panel layouts, right? Like on the left image there, it's just so uniquely done there. The way he's broken it all that up, it's beautiful.
He's garnering quite a following on Instagram right now. If you guys follow him, what he's doing is he's taking all the old classic DC covers and he's drawing them like this. So whatever classic cover you love, he's every day he's like doing a new cover, and he's getting, I think he's got 10,000 followers now. But some really big websites have started covering his journey into just recreating nightmarish versions of your childhood favorites, and it's really cool.
On his Instagram.
On his Instagram, Ian Laurie.
All right, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so it's he's actually a big DC fan, so he's doing mostly DC, but I think he's done like Jim Lee's X-Men covers and stuff, and it'll be crazy, like when he draws Robin, he's smoking a cigarette sometimes, and it's just the craziest stuff.
DC hasn't sent him a cease and desist yet, apparently.
Yeah, not yet. He's just doing it. He does it for fun, but he's getting a lot of traction. It's kind of cool.
Let's see. All right. Nope. I mean, I'm interested. I'm going to check out his Instagram.
This is kind of so part of my collecting was I love Masters of the Universe, and Wielder John is actually a kind of an adult play on Masters of the Universe. Like my Lord Fang looks a little bit like Skeletor, obviously. And so what I used to do was go around and get commissions from people, and this was when commissions were not that expensive. And then I saw J.H. Williams was coming to a show, and I was so excited. He was at Comic Palooza in Houston, and I went there, and I was like, I took all the money I had for commissions, which was only about $200. I don't forget, was that 2010? Yeah, so it wasn't that long ago, 12 years ago. But he was there, and this was before I broke in as an artist. Really, I'd done like one little thing, but I think that like warmed me up to him, or he was a little nicer but I think it was only $100 or a couple $100, and I was like, I don't know if I can afford that. I don't know if I want to, but I was like, you know what? I came here. I don't want 10 okay things. I want one J.H. Williams thing, and I wanted Skeletor, and to watch him draw it by hand and to come out this cool was just incredible. And I've got a lot of He-Man commissions, and this was like one of, I got a great He-Man. I got the He-Man designed by Mobius. I had that, which I didn't show today. And then, but this one was the one I got at a show and watched him draw it. And I was just like, how is that possible? Like, how can you sit down at a show and do a piece like that, And I was just blown away. He's incredible. And he had a bunch of his, I think Batwoman pages at the time, and he was showing me, and he was a really sweet guy. So yeah.
How do you pick and choose which pieces to put on your calf then? Because I know that a lot of the,
I don't,
talking about here, you don't have on your calf.
I don't keep up with it as like I should. And honestly, and a lot of people I owe emails back to, but like I'm in a really, my position right now is to sell, which I don't want to. So when I get offers that are really good, I'd rather not see them at all. Otherwise it would be in the back of my head worming away, and,
right.
And all of my art, I just trade my own art for, like Felix sells it, I get some money. And then, so I look at like, it's my own art still because I traded for it. Obviously pieces that are gifted to me, I don't want to sell, but like some pieces are like, okay, I know that I only got a little money rolled into it. I've got 5 times or 10 times my money, and this is incredible. So then you're like, do it. But I just think I don't want to, but sometimes I need to. So like, I'd rather be as far as away from that email message chain as possible and just stay away from it because
Sure.
I'd rather figure out some other way to make some money than sell my collection. But it's part of the game, like you sell some, you buy some, sometimes you upgrade pieces, sometimes you got multiple examples and you can let stuff go. But I'm not as active as I should be, although I have made really wonderful deals. And like, again, when my daughter was sick, Christian Ciaris bought some pages from me that are really pages that I love, but he paid above market value and really helped me out. So there's been times when I needed it, and some really wonderful collectors have stepped up. So yeah, so it goes both ways. Sometimes
Sure.
you need cash.
Nope. I hear you. No, CAF has meant a lot to in many different ways to a lot of different people. Whether it's enhancing their collections or enhancing their meeting friends, all those sorts of things. CAF has done a lot of things for people over the years, and a lot of it I wasn't even aware was going on. That these things were happening, but it's so cool hearing the stories that about the site, and how it's either helped people find their grail, or like for you mentioning that, just being able to raise some money when you really needed it. I mean, I don't know. I think that's great. I love the fact that CAF can do all these different things for everybody, and it's really played an important role in the hobby. I mean, again, things that I wasn't even aware of. If I wouldn't have been doing these live
No,
streams, I wouldn't hear half of these stories. So,
and the fact that the community is only growing. I think the hobby's only growing. Man, I mean, Felix has said that about you before, and it's true. You're a big part of it, and yeah, thank you, dude. It's awesome.
my pleasure. All right, well, let's look through a couple more pieces here. A couple next pieces are a couple color pieces here, and let's see this one.
Oh, this is just like like the Skeletor. This was I got a Bebop collection because I love the Ninja Turtles. So this is Riley Rossmo, and I did a cover for him, and he wanted the original. I think it was to Rasputin at Image, and I said, "You can have it. Just do me a big Bebop." And he ended up painting this Bebop for me, and I wanted to get at least one example of some of my miniature collections. Like this is a good example of my Bebop collection, and Rossmo's great. So he's another guy. It's kind of like graffiti art almost, and he's just going at it. And I'm such an overthinker when it comes to art, but he just feels like it's an extension of him, and so I admire that. And he did a cool Bebop for me, so I thought I'd throw it in there as an example of some of my collecting habits.
No, it's a great piece by Riley. No, this is great. Really, really love this one. And let's see another color piece here.
So this cool thing's been happening with Wielder John art. Instagram artists had started drawing him, just liking the design or something. And so I've got like 60 people who have gone out of their way to draw the character. And this guy is Matteo Ferrari, and he was from Italy. And I woke up one morning and I saw this guy from Italy. He like drew my character, and he's never even read the book. And it kind of steamrolled like a couple more people. Now we got like 60 or 70 people have drawn him now. I'm going to try to put him in the book, but they're going to be like printed 6 to a page. They're going to have to kill me. But people kept drawing him, and so with this one, I was like, dude, I love this one so much. The way the colors interlock on his hands, the way it doesn't quite look like the way I drew him, but it looks like the way he drew him. It just feels holistic, and coloring in watercolor without hard lines, but still with the forms looking so good. I loved it. So like, even though money was tight, I reached out and was like, hey, can I buy that from you, man? Cause it's freaking cool. So yeah, I bought it from him, and it's a good example of all the Wielder John pieces I'm going to be getting. Like we had some people like Chris Somney did a piece for me, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, Nick Darrington did a piece for me. Like all these really nice. I mean, David Marquez did a piece for me, and then it just kind of steamrolled. So we got tons of pinups from these guys, and some are more amateur, some are more pro, but it's just been really cool. It's been a good little driving motivator. So Mateo was kind enough to even ship this to me fast, and I was like, there's no way I can't show it off and let people know he is. And I think he's clearly pro level. I don't know, and I see he's doing sequentials. I don't know what his publishing history is. He's Italian, but I love the piece and wanted it, so I picked it up from him.
No, it's beautiful. It's so cool that this is like momentum that most projects wouldn't have. That when you're trying to fund them, and here you've got so many other creators that are just excited about what you're putting together here. That they're making work. They're putting it out on Instagram and their social feeds. I mean, all this is so positive to getting this project funded, and God only knows where it'll end up at the end of the day, right? But clearly, you've struck a chord with this character. Visually, they're almost, to me, it's semi-frightening, but I want to read the story, right?
Yeah, my wife says I can't hang any of this up in the house, so I don't know what. These are all going to sit in portfolios, unfortunately. I'll hang it up in my studio, but yeah, I was like, well, can I hang some of these up? She's like, not these. I'm like, all right, I understand.
Yep. No, my wife has a rule: no skull art. If art has any skulls on it, I'm not allowed to hang in the house. So you got to respect the spouse on what they're willing to allow you to show, at least in the main areas of the home.
Yeah, so this one here is Otomo himself did the color guides, And this was like me and Nick Dragata walking around. I want to say it was maybe San Diego, probably San Diego. And Steve Oliff was walking around selling the color guides and in his portfolio of color. And we had just gotten, maybe we've been with Felix for a year or two at this point, but we were like, we got to get this guy to come with Felix. Like he's just selling his color guides just out of the thing. And so we got him and we're like, can we buy some of these? And we started going through them, and he said, well, there's some over here done by Atomo. We're like, what, there's some done by Atomo? What? I was like, we got to hook you up with Felix. And Felix eventually offered them. But before Felix went with him, me and Dragata picked out a couple, and we paid him I think a pretty good amount for him. And I was like, dude, I want one with the bike on it. So yeah, I got a color guide by Atomo, and you can't get his art. So, and I got the bike. So I was super excited about that one. And I remember just being over the moon, and that was my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time was like, "You guys are like children." Like me and Dragata are like giggling and laughing, and like, this is why the bike's red. This is why the bike's red. He's like, "You guys are like children," like going back and forth. And it was a good con memory with Dragata, who's like just like a big brother to me. He's a super cool guy and bad influence with collecting, but. Yeah, so we brought Steve Oliff over to Felix, and we're like, Felix, can you document this for him? Can you get him better page rates than this? And I don't know what happened since, and I don't really remember what the numbers were at the time, but I know Felix started repping him after, and I think it worked out well. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I remember when he did the first sale of those. So no, I mean, again, Felix has done a great job, and he might not have known about it if you hadn't run into him at the con.
Yeah, I think we're all like, do this for us, Felix, do this, and he rolls his eyes. And eventually, he's got a vision for stuff. He's got his own vision for stuff. But yeah, he's helped out so many artists. Like I can talk a lot about it, and it'll be redundant, but he's really an incredible man. He's a really unfortunate. Best decision I ever did was trusting in Felix. So, and he's changed a lot of artists' lives for it. So, can't thank that guy enough.
I've heard it many times, so you're not the only one saying that. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, this thing's amazing.
Okay, this is like the rival to Felix Comic Art. I feel like is the Inky Knuckle guys, because they're the guys. Yeah, Cam. Man, the guys that he reps, like before he reps them, they're the guys I'll send to Felix. I'm like, Felix, do we have any place for these guys? And then Cam snipes them up all the time, right? And so what I love about these guys, since it kind of ties in that earlier conversation, is they kind of have their own language, but they're doing it at a master level. And Matt Lezanuski is doing such incredible work, and so. This one I commissioned him for, and he was the first Wielder John piece I got when I was working on it a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been wanting a piece from him forever, but the stippling, it just feels like Basil Wolverton or something,
Yeah.
like, but it's so cool. It's so cool. And no one else is doing anything like this. And the way he captures character, there's just so many great guys. They got Matthew Allison over there. They got Troy Nixie. They've got just a murderer's row of guys that I'm jealous. I wish I could draw as good as those guys, man. They're incredible. So props to Cam and his eye, and the crew that he's cultivating is really nice. Really high end. Like, I don't know if there's a word for it, but this is the stuff I gravitate to. Like, you don't see. I wish that editors got in at Marvel and DC and their books look like this, because I think comics would be much cooler for it.
Sure.
And they're doing it at like such an incredible level. Like, it's not just like he's noodling away on a skull. It's like, no, he's got the character. He's got the I designed this character and he drew it cooler than me. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool. Like, I love it. So and the lighting and the different textures, and I love his stuff. This guy's top notch. I've liked his stuff for a while. So he was doing commissions for a show, I think, and I reached out, and I think he only wanted to do them for the show or maybe before the show. And I was like, no, I want a bigger one. I want 11 by 14. And so, and it's going to be published in my book. So then he relented and he did it for me. So I was super pumped. And when I got it, I was like, this is insane. This is so cool.
No, I agree, and I always felt the Wolverton influence in some of the pieces by them as well. And I've got and speaking of Cam, I've picked up a few pieces from him as well. I think I've got a couple like Bruno Seelig pieces, and but man, yeah, he does have an eye as well. But yeah, great pickup as always, man. And the thing, you know, what I think is cool is that you're buying the artwork from your own titles. You know, like you said, you're. I just think that's such a unique thing. You would think that maybe as a creator, you wouldn't want to do that. You know, like you're like but you're totally into picking those pieces up. I just think that's great. And and again, it's back to these guys are knocking them out, right? I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful pieces.
Yeah, I mean, one, it was like I used to walk around shows a lot. Like most of my Manhattan Projects commissions, they're probably 50% not like top five company artists, right? They're like kind of artist alley people, but
Mhm.
but I like supporting them, and it's really cool. Like I want to see what someone else does with it, and it gives me some juice. Like I need the motivation, and then or like need the competition or whatever it is, and then like to have an outlet to publish it is super cool too. So then like not that I care about the value of it, but because I really think we just lose money on commissions overall. I don't think we ever get our
Right.
money back out of those. Like in retrospect, like when Felix was flipping through the 90, you know, Manhattan Projects commissions at my house, he was like, "What are you going to do with these?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But then I think like, man, if I start adding up the money for those 90 commissions, like, did I pass on like two Frank Quietly covers? Like, what did I do? Like, what have I done to myself? So, but then like it's also like you don't have a lot of money at the time, and it's not going to cost you a ton. So then you get like your little art fix, and sometimes like I said, I've had to sell some stuff with Axe Wielder to just be able to fund it. But then also like, well, I'll take a little bit of that and get me a commission to put a band-aid on it. So it's kind of cool. Like I always say I won't do it again, but I can't stop doing it. I'm just addicted. So I've got these little stacks of Ninja Turtles, Manhattan Projects, Axe Wielder John's building. I got a Flex Mentallo, little collection going. I would tell all collectors though, stick to the published stuff. If you can get the blue chip stuff, that stuff has like sometimes a 10 times multiplier on it. Like there's no amount that, to me, it seems that way. If you're going to get a D page, it's going to increase at a D page rate versus the multiplier on a blue chip page. It's almost worth it just to pony up and get the page you want, especially if it's, for me, new art where it can be big later. You can get it
Mhm.
affordable now. So I wouldn't necessarily do the commission thing. I love commissions though, so I don't know what I'm saying, but I just don't think we could flip the commissions if we needed cash right away, right?
No,
Not that we
typically
should
you
be
can't.
flipping them.
But I mean,
Yeah.
usually if you're getting
So
a commission, you're getting it because you want it, and so you're more
yeah,
likely to hold on to it for a while longer than you might normally a published page because you can flip those a lot easier than a commission.
yeah. I don't think I've ever sold a commission, so it's like it is kind of like a money pit, but I don't look at it like that. Like not with the like sometimes with the art, it's just too much money. Like so if I'm paying $4,000 for a piece of art, I do think, well, if shit hits the fan, I might be able to get two out of it, right? But on a commission, I just think, okay, it cost me a couple hundred or 500 or whatever, and doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's the end of the world, there. I try not to bring the money into it. I just got to go with what I like and trust my gut. And it's worked out, it's worked out 80% of the time. So,
Well, if we could all have 80% success rate on the commissions we've done, and we'd be all feeling really well. It's because it's tough. Commissions are you never know, they're hit or miss. Even sometimes with an artist that you really really love, you never know what you're going to get sometimes. So. Or if you're going to get anything at all, sometimes depending on how it's done. I like getting con sketches because I don't you're not putting a ton of money into them typically, and you sort of know the caliber, the level of the work that's going to come back. So I don't think I've really ever been well. Okay, I have been disappointed in a few con sketches, but by and large, I'm pretty happy with those. Commissions are more like for me, they're like 50-50. As far as like loving them or just being like, okay, it's going to go in the portfolio.
yeah. I think I got the portfolio graveyard too, but I can't help myself. You get to a show and you're like, this guy's here, can I get on his list? It's, I don't know. I'm addicted to it. So I try to collect a little bit of everything, and yeah, just try to go with what I like. And that's a big part of like why I need to be reading more. I haven't got to read like in the last year and a half. So I'm sure some new guys have passed me by recently. So I got to get back with it.
All right, well, you mentioned quietly covers. You could have passed up with commission pickups, but here it's one of the last few pieces we have to show tonight was a quietly cover that you
Oh,
didn't
this
pass
one. No, I didn't. This was thanks to you because you had Mikkel on the Dueling Dealers, and he had offered this, and I saw it, which was a bad situation because I really wanted it. I really wanted it. So what I did, and I don't know if people like being named or not, but Miggs, and I wrote Miggs, and was interested in some quietly pieces because we didn't have the money for it at the time, and he got like an all-star Superman piece and another piece from me that was really nice, and I was like, don't send me the money, just send it to Mikhail. And then Mikhail got paid, and I got me, I took two pieces and rolled it into one piece. So, yeah. So this was thanks to you from Dueling Dealers. It was itching in my brain when I saw it, and I was like, it's in the first 5 covers from the first arc, which I thought was cool, and it's Batman and Robin on it. It's a simple piece, but if you zoom in, obviously you've got it zoomed in there. The meticulous details great. I think you can't go wrong with Grant Morrison quietly in Batman. Anytime you can get the trifecta of top writer, top artist, and main character, I mean, relatively safe bet. I did pay quite a bit for it, but it's still, I'm very happy to have it. So yeah, thank you, Mikhail, for letting it go.
Right. I mean, this was probably the first quietly we had on the show, and I was surprised that he was like, even offering it. Did you pick it up during the show, or this was one that was picked up like right after the show, right? Or
right after the show, because it was an impossibility until the show ended, and I was like, And I remember Albert might have offered like 6 or 7 for it, and Mikhail had said no. So I was like, okay, well that ain't gonna work. And I was like, let me write Mikhail later. Yeah, thank you, man. And I was like, well that number ain't gonna work. And I knew the quietly market pretty well, and I'd seen these pieces switch hands, but I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, I do have a couple pieces that are like, I love them, but I got other examples, right? So I was like, okay, would I be happier having a cover? And like we mentioned Chuck Arnold before, and he's a big cover guy. And I was like, well, I think I would like a couple more covers instead of the sequentials. And so it became just a trade for pages, and no money really touched my hands, which was cool. And so it just made it easy. And so I felt like I got an upgrade. And you get that thing where you just get the itch of getting a new piece when you can't really get one at the time. So it like scratched an itch for a little while. And I mean, Batman and Robin and Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly, can't go wrong.
No, this was a great pickup, and Mikhail did credit me on that sale as well. So it was a nice bonus after the show, because we always tally things up, and then he let me know the next day that this might happen, and then it did happen, and awesome. Yeah, that was a nice surprise for me. And it's something I get asked to do. Several people would wish that I would do these bigger shows, like with $5,000 pieces and up. But the problem with that is on the Dueling Dealers kind of an acclaim sale format, people can't make that. It's not many people can make a decision in 30 to 60 seconds that they want to buy a piece that's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and, it had to worm in my head. Like you start like problem solving in your head. Like what can you start doing the thing with the cat before he jumps, and all that stuff. So you start doing that, and you're doing it for a couple of days. Like it's there, and your views only go up as it sits there. So more people are going to see it. Do I have anything that make this work? And then luckily, Miggs wrote, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This could work out perfect timing wise. And and Mikhail was really sweet about dealing with not directly with me, because like, hey, can someone else do this? Can you wait for me to sell something? And he was totally cool, and it was really great. So I got to add a prime, one of my top probably 3 or 4 quietlies to my collection. So I'm very happy about that.
That's true. Marcus, and we got the Mikhail memes out of that show. Everybody remembers Mikhail's memes on that show. They will never forget them.
Oh, and Mikhail's packaging was incredible. His packaging was great. Like it was custom. It was like custom art packaging. It was super cool. I recently had to mail some stuff back to Felix, and I used it. So I don't mean to upset him, but I really did like it. It was super cool. He like printed the cover out and had it all like matted on there. It was like it was a present, when I got it from him. So it was super cool.
Yeah, Mikhail has sent me a few packages as well, and they are works of art, aren't they? I mean,
yeah,
he puts a lot of effort into them, and nobody packs art. Well, I mean, everybody. Mikhail kind of did on one of our collector chats. He did a kind of a lesson on how he packs his art with the with the painter's tape and flipping the edges over to make it real easy to get things out. So you see more and more people kind of adopt that method of shipping artwork, just because it does make things so much easier. I mean, because I'm sure you've bought art and gotten in the mail before. I mean, some people use just well, some people will just use like masking tape in there, but I've had other guys just use duct tape to
Oh yeah,
packing tape, and oh my god,
I got some of the electrical tape one time, and that leaves residue. It's like you're pulling the page up, trying not to touch any part of the package so you don't get adhesive on it. There's all kinds of terrible packaging. I'm a pretty good packer, but I'm a very weird packer. It's like, what do I have in my house to make this a sturdy puzzle? It's like MacGyver packing. But I do take it serious. I take it seriously, but it's not pretty. That's kind of how I pack.
As long as it works, it gets there in one piece.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Let's see. So I got 2 more slides here, and I put 2 pieces of art on these. I think these were throw-ins that you didn't ask me to show, but I wanted to show them as part of everything tonight, because we just crossed the 2-hour mark, if you can believe that, Nick. So let's see what we got here. One of them, well, I mean, both pieces speak for themselves, quietly, of course. I love them.
Yeah, so I was super proud to get this. I reached out. I've been pestering Joe Melchior for a long time, and that's Quietly's rep, about trying to get an All-Star Superman cover. And he had one for sale, and it was covered issue 2, and I think it was around $7,500, maybe $8,000. I just didn't have the money for it. But I almost pulled the trigger a couple times, but it really would have taken all my money, and I did, was starting a family at the time or whatever, so I couldn't, or at least was contemplating it with my wife or my girlfriend. It's now my wife. So I was like, I can't pay that, but I really wanted it. I called Joe up and we had talked. I think he was at San Diego Comic-Con, and he's like, I can't believe it's still available. And I was like, honestly, I can't either. So I started getting really panicked about it, but then it sold, and I was like, oh man, somebody bought it. I was like, this is terrible. So then I wrote him back, and I was asking about another one because I just never seen it on the market, and he said no. And then he wrote back and he said, well, Vin does have the one that's the back of Clark's head. And I was like, you know what? It's better than none. I'll take one of the 12 original All-Star Superman covers. And I like that it referenced Superman's death, and it's kind of a love letter to him. And there's something about like my wife having the Wonder Wife and her starting a family, and me sitting at the drawing table all day. I feel like that's me, overweight Clark Kent, and my wife is running the house, like they're like a married piece there, which I thought was kind of cool. And it's the best back of a head I've ever seen drawn. So it was cool. So I got it. It was a little more affordable, and one of the last ones available. And on that piece in particular, it's not, some of those pages were like Vin drew them on a separate board, and then they spray mounted them to the DC board. But this one's actually on the DC board, which means I don't have to worry about restoration down the line or anything. So it's just a nice clean piece. And at least I can always say I got one of the 12 All-Star Superman covers. So yeah. And then the other one, I'll let you talk if you see anything about it. But.
No. I know you pretty much said it all. I mean, it's a great image. And again, telling that story too. I mean, it's sometimes a lot of us will go back to a dealer's site and look at a piece and long for it and just keep thinking it's still going to be there when I go back the next time. And it's always one of the most crushing feelings when you go back and it's gone, or it's marked sold finally. That, I mean, because you almost feel like you own it, right? Because you're going back and you're looking at it for a week or 2 weeks, and you're like, yeah, it almost feels like you own it. And then next thing you know, it's gone. I've done that. I do that so often. I mean, there was a piece I literally looked at on one guy's site for about 6 months, and I just kept thinking, well, it's just going to be there forever. I'm going to be able to buy that one of these days. And then it was gone. I was so sad.
I know. It's like, you're right. I didn't think about it that way, but you're like developing a relationship with this piece, right? You're like, you see it, you're looking at it. There's lots of pieces on dealer sites that I do that all the time too, and you're starting to contemplate how this is going to be in your future. And then when it's gone, and I think Melchior sold it at the San Diego Comic-Con he was at, because I had called him from home, and I was like, oh God, I was just on the phone with the guy. I could have pulled the trigger, but I didn't. And it didn't last the show. And so to have this as a consolation prize is cool. And it might not be the very best All-Star Superman cover, but it's my All-Star Superman cover. So I'm excited to have it, and it was cool. And then the new X-Men page I just thought was a great new X-Men page. It's got the Beast, it's got Beast on there, and it's got Wolverine, and it's got Cassandra Nova. And I got this piece from a professor, I believe he teaches at Northwestern, and we were geeking out back and forth on comic book art. He's like, oh, I got lots of stuff. But you always hear people say, like, I got lots of stuff, but it's just in a box, and I don't know what I got, kind of. And it turns out he showed up at the show and he had lots of cool art. And I was like, whoa, you weren't joking. Like half the people are just like, you expect nothing. So then I didn't buy anything from him then. And then at the time I was like, well, you can research the market. If you want to sell me one of those quietlies or two of them, let me know. And then eventually after we would meet at the Chicago show, he was willing to sell a couple, and I was able to pick up a really great piece. And that bottom panel is used on some of the hardcover intros, so it's been repurposed a couple times, which is cool. And it's my best. I've had a couple of really nice new X-Men pieces. This is my best one left. But I love the Wolverine example, and I love the Beast example on it. So yeah,
that's a really great pickup there. Yeah, I think I've got 3 new X-Men pages left, but I have had many really nice ones and sold too many of the better ones. But yeah, this is a great page.
I got to see some of yours. Are they in your CAF gallery? I don't really browse CAF.
Yeah. I think all the ones that I have are in my CAF. Yeah. Yeah, please check it out. Leave a few comments on there tonight.
I'm going to be. Well, no, it's going to worm into my head. How can I get this from Bill? Why don't I have to trade?
Yeah, especially now, like the one page I got off of Spencer for $40. But those were the days, the early days of collecting quietly work.
Yeah, Felix is interesting because every time you bring up, like, you do have to think about it this way, but like, you only got it for this, or you only got it, that doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, that's gone. Whatever that is, it's gone. Like, it's what it is now. That's it. Like, everything else is just wishful thinking or what might have been talk. And Felix doesn't. He doesn't entertain that. He's just like, no. Like, what is it now? That's what it. Because sometimes I'll be like, I'll get an offer on a piece, and I'll be like, well, I only paid this for it. He's like, don't ever say that. Don't ever say you only paid this for it. Like, what is it worth now? And so, but you have this thing where like, well, I'm doing pretty good. I could probably afford that. But he's like, no, don't think about it. Because then that person's going to get it and flip it, or whatever, which is, that's happened before. But once it's out of your hands, it's out of your hands. I never have any regrets when it comes. I hope everyone makes money on whatever I sell, and whatever I sell, God bless it. Like, hopefully I'll all make money on it. And it looks like everybody has. So everyone should be happy.
I think they are. And Samuel Rojas, I guess I left the soups page on there just a little too long. Yeah. All right. So last slide, and this has well, let's see. This is an interesting one. Well, you talked about this earlier, and it's quietly again on both of these, but it's
this is really cool. I was worried because I had this in the email, and then the email wouldn't send because it was too many megabytes, so I had to delete a couple, and I just messed up and deleted the wrong ones. But when I went to when I met quietly in 2014, Ron Richards had set up like a private meeting for me to meet him at the Image booth, like behind the scenes, and it was him and his wife, and I got to give him a big hug and tell him what he meant to me, and he was laughing, and it was a good time. And Ron Richards was like, be cool, do not embarrass me. And as soon as I opened the door, I was like, oh, I love you. Gave him a big bear hug and, overwhelmed quietly. And so, so I definitely embarrassed him. And, but then when we were talking, and I really not a good listener at the time because I was so excited to see him, he's like, oh, I got something for you. He's like, there's this Midnighter page that never got published because Vin kind of left the Authority under not great terms because their editorial oversight was happening. Mm-hmm. And so Marvel kind of poached him for new X-Men. And so he had started issue 20, he actually didn't draw, or that page didn't make it in it. And so he had penciled it, but never sent off to inker. And he was like laughing. He's like, oh yeah, it's because I was like, I love the gay superheroes. It's cool. It's just different, over the top. And he's like, oh, you'll love this one because it's Midnighter and Apollo right after they're done, banging. And you can see Apollo's thong on the ground. And he was laughing about it. But I thought he'd forgotten. And he's like, I'll give it to you one day, or I'll give it to you. And then, years later, when I flew out to meet him, I was really happy I did this. But he's a big fan of the guy who did O'Warley and I can't remember his name now. Anyway, I didn't want to show up empty-handed. I didn't want to draw something that I drew. So what I did was I bought him a page from his artist hero, Dudley D. Watkins. I found a page randomly and bought it. And he's gonna think I'm gonna draw a picture, like I give him a piece of my art. I was like, I'm gonna give him a piece of his hero's art. So when I got there, I gave him the package and he opened it up and he was excited about it, which I was really happy to give him. And then in return, he pulled that out, and he had remembered, and he pulled it out, and like I got a piece, an unpublished piece no one had ever seen before, and he'd remember the conversation, and he gave it to me as a gift. So it was a wonderful gift exchange there. And then the authority page on the left, like Midnighter is my favorite, one of my favorite characters. I think Flex Mentallo's up there, but Midnighter was my nostalgia guy, and that piece showed up. Joe Melchior had it from then, and I thought it was a reasonable price. He told me the quote on it, and I was like, oh, I'd love to buy it. So I was able to purchase that from him, and so that's probably my best authority piece I have left. I've probably got 3 or 4 authorities left. I've had to sell a few, but this is definitely the prime one, and the one I'm going to hold on to, forever if I can. So it's a good shot of Midnighter having just urinated on the evil doctor in the previous panel. He's pulling his pants up. So so these are like two of my favorite authority pieces, with Midnighter and Paulo, and then Midnighter and his alternate universe heroes coming to fight the evil doctor. So yeah.
Oh man, well, Mikhail's trying to claim it, but I'm sorry, Mikhail, they are not for sale. Oh man, but no, those are great stories too. I mean, that's so cool that you and
I don't know. I try to like bring some stories into it instead of just talking about the art. But I'm so long winded. I was a little worried about this. So, but anyway, we've already gone over 2 hours. So, thank you for having me on, man, and let me talk about this art, and also promoting Axe Wielder for me. That was really sweet of you. So, I owe you, Bill. I appreciate it. I think I got a surprise for you coming your way. So I'm bad about keeping surprises, but I'm going to try to keep this one, and I'm going to send you something cool, I think.
Well, if I get something in the mail from you, I will definitely open it up on a CAF update, like I always do with stuff that
cool.
I get in the mail. So that'd be awesome if you did, and I won't hold it against you if you don't. But
no, I got something planned. I think it might be art not from me if I can make it happen. So we'll see what happens. So we'll see.
Right,
no other route. Nothing else said about it. So,
but you're telling me I shouldn't? Should I buy the Manhattan Project as a trade?
I'll send you that with it. So I got to
fulfill the campaign on that too. All right, because I really do want to read it. I've always wanted to read it. I hate the fact that I never picked it up.
In the package, it'll be a piece of artwork, and it'll be the book. I'll send you the book, and so just give me like a month or two. I'll see you online all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to send it out right away. Give me like a month or two, and then let this campaign settle down. And when we start mailing stuff out, I'll make sure to get you something as a thank you for all the stuff you've done.
Samuel Rojas says, please send that soup page to my address. Not going to happen, Samuel. But no, Nick, that sounds great, man. I appreciate it. That's that's awesome. And don't worry about being premium member. I should give you an honorary premium because you got such great artwork in your CAF gallery. I'd rather be seeing big scans versus the 800 pixel.
No, I need to upgrade. Like, honestly, I've already said it, but like money's just like, I was going to do it like before the show, and I was like, oh, $75 might make a world of difference this month. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, so we'll see. Things are going to change here soon once Wielder John hits, and I'm making a page rate again, so it'll be fine. I appreciate your support, and I hate that I haven't signed up for a premium membership yet, but I will do it soon.
All right, man. Well, listen, it's been great talking with you, Nick. And again, thanks for being in the chat for as long as you have been. A member of CAF for so long, sharing your art on the site. I mean, all that stuff, it means the most to me. It really does. Because I wouldn't be here today if people didn't have the desire to kind of share their collections and learn about the hobby by doing that. CAF wouldn't. We didn't know what CAF was going to become when we started it, but it really became successful because people like sharing and they like learning about the hobby, and doing that, and through CAF has really made CAF what it is today. The cornerstone of the hobby as far as place for people to meet and that sort of thing. But again, it's people like yourself that have kind of always gave me inspiration to keep moving things forward, even though I guess I complained a bit early in our relationship, but no, I'm sorry about that.
No, I was definitely using you as an image hosting site, so it was all fair. But really, all credit to you in building out this community the way you have the last couple of years, and bringing it, on YouTube and on Facebook, and the way you're growing the community now. And it's such a corner hub of what collecting is. and what original comic art collecting is. And the game wouldn't be the same without you, Bill. And so I'm sure everyone knows it and everyone means it when I'll say thank you for everybody. So thank you, man.
Oh man, you are quite welcome, as is everybody else. So Nick, thank you again so much for this. If there's anything else I can do for you, I mean, I'm going to sign up for the Axe Wielder John, announcements. But if there's any other press releases that I can push out for you leading up to this or while it's going on, please, hit me up if you don't see me posting them on CAF. We'll make sure.
This was more than enough. I guess since it's over, if you could just share the axewielder.com link, that would be great in case people did want to click it. But if not, that's fine too. Everything you've done here is wonderful. I owe you, so I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope the mic stopped popping. I was really feeling bad about that. So I'm sure it didn't, and Bill didn't say anything, and you guys are all losing your minds.
Well, here, look, Jeff Wedding is basically just taking care of you becoming a premium member. So we're going to take care of that for you. Thank you very much, Jeff. And Jeff, I owe you a phone call, by the way. I know that I wanted to call you last Friday and I didn't, but now I'm definitely going to take care of that. But I'm going to upgrade your account tonight, Nick.
Jeff, now I owe Jeff something. Jeff, I guess hit me up. We got to talk business now. We got to figure something out. That's too kind of you, and now I owe you something, buddy. So around it goes. So thank you, Jeff. That was super kind. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, listen, and thanks for doing this. Everybody, thanks for tuning into the chat as always. If you like what we do here on the channel, click subscribe so you don't miss updates and stuff. I never talk about these things, but it's important. It kind of keeps things moving along and getting the word out better about these shows that we do. But again, thank you, Nick, and everybody for tuning in tonight. Have a great evening, and we'll be back at it tomorrow with another Dueling Dealers episode with Mike and Anthony. So thanks again, Nick. Have a great night. I know you're going to be up till 4 drawing, though.
I will. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.